Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels. And apparently it is my affiliate anniversary. So, yeah, that happened. There's a Bishop, there's a Pinkalo in YouTube chat. Hello Buttercup over in Twitch chat. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well and having a wonderful Memorial Day if you're in the States. And we're here to hang out, and we've got a bunch of shit to watch. And it's all over the place. So as I said, it's Manic Monday. Ooh, and Buttercup's going on a mini vacation. That sounds like fun. Mini vacations are always awesome. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. Just got my coffee. Really need to find something for an intro music. Yeah. I do. I need to figure something out that where I won't get hit. Where I won't get copyright struck or claimed, not struck, but claimed. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well, having a good day. And yeah, apparently it is my affiliate anniversary. So the 2 years ago today, apparently it's been 2 years since I became an affiliate. So yay! Yeah, your father's passing hit you hard. Yeah, I don't blame you. Don't blame you, Buttercup. Duh! Duck Dog, you got into the tequila, huh? How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling all right, Duck Dog? Tequila is well, there's a reason they call it tequila. So I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're doing all right. But I do have oh, excuse me. My allergies are killing me today. I do have my video links put in the description. I am taking off my sweater so that I will be ready to exercise should anybody decide to go to streamlabs.com/blindpress. There we go. Oh yeah, it's Memorial Day in the States. You might actually get viewers. Yeah, I might. Who knows? Okay. So, we're gonna start with our first video. And I'm being a bad girl, and I'm watching a Mudahar video on stream. Oh, I know. Mudahar doesn't like that, but he can get stuff that I can't see, and I would like to hear what he has to say about the whole internet, Google, AI search stuff. So. Would have been better if I didn't go. The ghost of the past always have someone left behind. Oh, that sucks. You have to go off camera to take your sweater off. Geez, you have to learn how to thirst trap. Yes, I know. I suck at it. I know. I suck. Anyway. So, we're going to start with this Mudahar video. We're going to find out just what Google's up to.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar. Now a couple days ago I made a video in regards to Google and I was looking at the search engine and I was saying, the search quality isn't as good as it used to be. So today we're going to be taking a look at Google once again, okay, just 48 hours later, when the entire world, or at least those in the United States, have gotten access to its crazy artificial intelligence tools.
See, I have not used... Well, I actually have had Google pop up some suggestions lately, but I've just ignored them.
Now, a couple days ago, I did look at this, and I made maybe one or two examples. But today, I got a whole smorgasbord of Google ripping through the internet and coming up with AI generations that could actually legally probably be bad for Google, okay? So I figured, let's sit back, relax today, and just laugh at some of the wild stuff that artificial intelligence has to offer. Now, to catch the audience up to everything here, cheese not sticking to pizza. Now, if you Google that on the internet, some of the wild stuff that artificial intelligence has to offer. Now, to catch the audience up to everything here, cheese not sticking to pizza. Now, if you Google that on the internet, you would basically be getting a little AI blurb at the top where Google would look through somebody else's website, grab information, and then just amalgamate it to basically show you what it thinks the answer could be, right?
That sounds not good. So it's guessing. It's using AI to guess, basically, on what is being, on what you want the answer. It's picking and choosing what it thinks you want the answer to be instead of what the answer is.
Right? Except what's happening over here is Google is looking through basically any derelict shithole of the internet and coming up with an answer that might as well have everybody laughing if they take even a second to read through it. So the idea of cheese not sticking to a pizza. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what happened was people had started to look into it, and the Google's AI overview jumped in and said, cheese can slide off pizza for a number of reasons, including too much sauce, too much cheese, or thickened sauce. Here's some things you can try, okay? So what are the things you can try to make your cheese stick to the pizza? You can mix cheese into the sauce, help it add moisture to the cheese, and dry out the sauce. Or you can also add about 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce and give it more tackiness.
What did AI just suggest you do to fucking pizza sauce?
Out the sauce. Or you can also add about 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce and give it more tackiness. Now,
yeah! Yes, let's put some non-toxic glue. Dad, it says non-toxic. Why do the Simpsons have to do everything? The jumping jacks were nice, blue skies and green trees, still overcast and brown lawns. Like the one I read to you this morning. Jesus Christ. I agree, Duck Dog. That is a Jesus Christ moment. You are correct.
Now, of course, you might be wondering, whoa, Muda, where did it dig this out of? Did it look
Reddit,
at Gordon
probably?
Ramsay's cookbook and come up with the answer? No, apparently individuals trace that piece of intelligence all the way back to Reddit, okay? So somebody made a Reddit comment, some user by the name of F-Word Smith wrote, to get the cheese to stick, I recommend mixing about 1/8 of a cup of Elmer's glue in with the sauce. It'll give the sauce a little extra tackiness.
Yeah, you would recommend that person, F-Word Schmidt. Oh my lord. You're not supposed to eat the glue. You're not supposed to be a literal glue eater. What the fuck?
And your cheese sliding issue will go away. It'll also add a little unique flavor. I like it.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
But any glue will work as long as it's non-toxic. Could you imagine this fucking dude's pantry? Okay, you walk in, he's got the power tools, the WD-40 right there, next to the Parmesan. It's crazy stuff. But of course, it seems like what Google did was it took the information off of Reddit, which it never should have done. Even if the information is right, you should never take it out of Reddit sometimes.
No. In fact, I tried not to get my information from Reddit. Like, just, if I see something on Reddit that sounds right, I will fact check it somewhere else first.
And decided to put that into the AI overview. So somebody who doesn't know anything about cooking is like, well, the glue is non-toxic. Might as well give it a try. I wouldn't recommend putting glue in your food, okay? That's just gross.
Suddenly, the cheap, shaky Parmesan I add to my sauce doesn't seem so bad.
So when people ask Google, bro, how many rocks should I eat? So according to Google's AI overview...
So people are testing this out, I guess, by asking the most, daft questions, like how many rocks should I eat? And
according to UC Berkeley geologists, okay, so at least I got the field of expertise right, eating at least one small rock per day is recommended because rocks contain minerals and vitamins that are important for digestive health.
How does AI...
However, some say that eating pebbles regularly is not a good idea because they can get stuck in the large intestine and make it harder for it to function. Yeah,
you think?
Maybe we should ask a medical professional, is eating a rock worth it? I think they know more than geologists.
I'm pretty sure even a geologist would be like, what the fuck do you mean, how many rocks should you eat a day? You shouldn't eat any rocks, you dumb asshole. Go away and stop bothering me.
Now this is where it gets really goddamn dangerous, okay? So somebody starts looking up appendicitis, and Google's AI overview allegedly says, here's some home remedies that may help with abdominal pain caused by appendicitis.
No, not home remedies. Oh, Jesus Christ. Are we gonna go medieval here? Eating pebbles is probably not a good idea, haha, you think? Well, remember the one I read you this morning was labeled, I am having homicidal thoughts. Yeah.
So it tells you boil mint leaves in water and drink it 3 times a day to soothe pain. Brew a potion.
Wait, what?
Boil mint leaves in water with abdominal pain caused by appendicitis. So it tells you boil mint leaves in water and drink it 3 times a day to soothe pain.
No!
Brew a potion. Vegetable juices and a high fiber diet. Now it got this information.
Oh yeah, cruciferous vegetables. That'll help your appendicitis. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's not like you have an infected vestigial organ inside you. It's just that you need to eat more vegetables.
Information out of Farm Easy. Okay, so, all right, fair. That sounds like a pharmacological website. And then Medindia. Okay, Medindia, I think. Home remedies. Now, appendicitis is something that is very near and dear to me. If you follow my channel for a little bit, you knew that I was a day away from dying. I'm not joking when I say that. I was a day away from septic shock, pretty much sepsis shock, because I had laid in bed for like 3 or 4 days as my appendix blew up and burst inside me.
Oh, good.
I had appendicitis, and it was a situation where I got like sick. I got like an elevated flu, kind of went down, up, down, and it wasn't until my dad told me to get up and move around when I started vomiting everywhere that we checked into emergency. If it wasn't for my dad calling in and checking in on me and making sure, you know, I wasn't like, he basically made me do like a quick test, took me into the emergency room, they did the goddamn MRIs, and they pulled that thing out of me when they found it, okay? It was a real bad situation. I was 1 day away from actually seeing God.
Yeah, you don't fuck around with appendicitis. You don't like brew a potion and drink some minty water. You fucking go to the hospital.
So there is no home remedy. If you look up the actual medical assessment for it, the internet will tell you. When you look up appendicitis, it's when your appendix is swollen, and diseased. It is a medical emergency, and you must seek care right away. All right? There is no fucking home remedy in this situation.
No.
So the fact that Google
That's
apparently
like, what's the home remedy for fucking pneumonia?
Toss that out there is actually dangerous. But of course, what's really dangerous is a bit of Canadian influence into the artificial intelligence.
No.
When one user asked, "I'm feeling depressed," Google's AI said, "Oh, there's many things you can do to deal with depression." One Reddit user suggests jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, good! Oh, good! Lovely! Well, the one Pink Hollow read me was, "I'm feeling homicidal," and it started telling people how to, like, kill people that wouldn't be missed. It was great. This one's telling people to yeet themselves off the Golden Gate Bridge. Lovely!
Now, the Golden Gate Bridge is a very famous landmark in what the fuck? It's in San Francisco. It's a bridge, okay? Google is telling you to effectively delete yourself. And that is not something you should ever do. If you ever have feelings and thoughts like that, go seek medical attention.
Yes.
Call a hotline, okay? Here's some other things for coping with depression. If jumping off the bridge doesn't make sense, stay connected with your family, exercise, sleep.
Wait, that was...
Sleep and eat well.
That was all after jump off the bridge? It wasn't before jump off. It wasn't, stay connected with your friends and your family, sleep and eat well, exercise, and if none of that works, then jump off the bridge. No, first of all, you want to jump off the bridge. And if you survive that, and you're still depressed, then you might want to eat well, sleep well, exercise, and stay connected with your family.
Dog, maybe those 4 bullet points should have made it up here, and this whole section should have been struck out.
Thank
Again,
you,
it really is just Google's AI looking through one Reddit comment and going, yeah, seems about right. Throw that into the AI overview. You don't need to click and read further. Come on now. Now, obviously, Google will say AI overviews are experimental. AIs can make mistakes. But that takes me into a point that I really want to make. A lot of tech a lot of like tech, dopes, so to speak, a lot of like tech bros, people that I think are tech adjacent, but I have really no idea about how this technology works, gas this stuff up like it's the second coming of Jesus. When in reality, what all of this AI stuff so far is a much more clever chatbot that is effectively just parsing through hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of data on the internet, okay? Yeah. It crawls the internet, trawls websites and videos and audio files for information, transcripts, and effectively regurgitates that.
Yeah, it's not... And this is the thing with AI, is that I'm in a unique position when it comes to this stuff, because being totally blind, AI can really, really help me. Like, I'll show you a feature. I have the Be My Eyes app. And Be My Eyes is an app where you can call and ask for volunteer support for, like, tasks like reading things and whatever. But there's also a feature called Be My AI. Now, I am going to take a picture of what's in front of me, and I am going to let it tell you. I'm going to make it so you can hear what it says. So you'll be able to hear it. Hold on. It's analyzing.
The picture shows a cluttered desk setup. On the desk, there is a computer monitor displaying a YouTube video of the man talking. Above the monitor, there is a webcam. To the left of the monitor, there is a ring light mounted on the wall. The desk itself has various items on it, including papers, a hat, and some containers. In the foreground, there is a black blue snowball microphone with a sticker on it. To the right of the desk, there is a wooden shelf with some items on it, including what appears to be a helmet.
That's what AI can do.
Take picture button.
Okay? That is so helpful, like, for somebody like me. If I'm in an unfamiliar situation, I can use that to take a picture. And AI is like the aluminum foil wearing drunk at the bar. Might be right. Usually a raving lunatic. You're right, Duck Dog. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But yeah, like AI it can be super helpful for disabled people, but it can also be incredibly dangerous.
There is no sentient thinking when it comes to an artificial intelligence. If there was sentient thinking, or actually some limitations and constraints, rather than being a chatbot, we wouldn't be sitting here laughing at some of the stupid shit today.
No.
Now, obviously, not everything gets morbid. In this situation, obviously, one person asked, my blinker in...
Did it just describe your room? That's freaking amazing. Yeah, it just described the front half of my room where my computer setup is. I should show you what it'll say. Here, just for fun. Just for fun. I'll do the other half. I'll do the other half of the room. And I'll show you what it says. And this is going to be what you guys can see on the camera.
There are several actions. The picture shows a wall and desk area filled with various collectibles and decorations, primarily related to pop culture and superheroes. Actions available on the wall. Actions available. There are several action figures and toys in their original packaging, including characters from Marvel and EC Comics. Actions available. A large poster of Avengers: Infinity War is prominently displayed. There are also smaller posters and comic book covers, including X-Men. A few small figurines and masks are mounted on the wall. On the desk. There is a computer monitor with a webcam attached. Various items are scattered around, including a large Superman figure, a Jason Voorhees mask from Friday the 13th, and what appears to be a gas mask. There are also some framed pictures and posters, including one of a Star Wars scene. The overall setup suggests a strong interest in comic books, movies, and collectibles. Take picture button.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that fucking awesome?
Search.
Isn't that fucking great?
Challenge. Twitch. Photo and video. Snap. Camp X. YouTube. 6
That is so awesome.
Perky Pokey. Okay. Button. Perky Pokey. That's freaky. Perky Pokey. Astonished face. Add emotes.
That is Be My AI for blind people to use. I also use an app called Seeing AI when I'm at the dollar store without the boys to read packages when I'm in the food aisle. So, like, AI can help. But it's really... But it is really, really, like, it's also a very dangerous thing.
In my car is not making a sound.
I love it.
Google's AI overview drops, bro, you can try these steps. Replace the flasher, change the fuse, adjust the connection, replace the blinker.
What? What?
Bro, you can gets morbid. In this situation, obviously, one person asked, my blinker in my car is not making a sound. Google's AI overview drops, bro, you can try these steps. Replace the flasher, change the fuse, adjust the connection, replace the blinker.
Replace the blinker fluid?
Replace the blinker fluid on your car?
Oh my god, did it take that off the fucking... There have been so many TikToks. Oh my god, I've seen those TikToks before. No worries. I thought you'd enjoy that. But, like, seriously. Change the blinker fluid? Did it seriously take that off of those stupid TikToks?
Now, look. If you don't know anything about cars, there is no such thing as blinker fluid. I don't know where it dug this up, but wherever it was, it needs to go back to the goddamn clown show. Maybe a clown car might have blinker fluid.
I'm pretty
no
sure
regular
that's a
vehicle
TikTok.
does, okay? And I'm sure Google looked through Chevrolet, Tesla, maybe TikTok, Volvo, and the sound of clicking to figure out this might have been a thing. But again, it's simple shit that should have been fixed up. When somebody asked, how many presidents graduated from the University of Wisconsin? Now, this is wild indeed, okay? 13 presidents attended the University of Wisconsin, okay? But what's wild is John Adams graduated in 1934. Okay, fine. then 35, 47, 51. Bro, was this man just studying forever?
John Adams?
In fact, the last graduation date was 2003.
Wasn't John Adams, like... When was John Adams even alive? John Adams was, like, one of the first presidents, wasn't he? Blinker fluid, classic mechanic joke. Next it will ask for 15,000 feet of flight line. I guess if enough mechanics make jokes about it, it becomes fact. Blinker fluid has been an old school joke for a long, long, long time. Yeah, I guess I've been around you and other people a lot because I've heard it.
You know, last I checked, let's do some basic search, okay? Something that AI should have done. John Adams, a U.S. president. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Bro, that's crazy. He died in 1826. That means he did his first degree as a ghost.
Right? Google AI needs to go fill out its IT-10 form. Is that a disability form? IT-10T form? Is ID-10T form? Is that a disability? Is that a disability form? There,
That's crazy. All right, now I think this moment, like the actual AI was
say,
looking off
John
the
Adams.
Creepypasta wiki. How does Sandy die in SpongeBob? According to SpongeBob Fan and Wiki, okay, so the fan wiki, by the way, Sandy Cheeks died by offing herself on July 14, 2 days before her body was found. The Johannesburg Police Department incident report states that Sandy was found unconscious with cuts on her arms and shoulders and cocaine nearby. An autopsy found that Sandy had cocaine toxicity, lethal levels of alcohol in her bloodstream, and a significant amount of heroin. Bro, what is it? What is she living next to Nick Rekieta?
What the hell?
What episode of SpongeBob was that, dude?
Did Google AI just pull a South African police report and smush it in with SpongeBob fan wiki? John Adams, the first president of the United States. That's what I thought.
Dude, God, it looks through the creepypasta wiki to come up with a lore-accurate answer. Now, I even tried this myself with Google, so this is my own search. I searched, how did Mr. Krabs die, okay? Now, what it says is, in the trial of SpongeBob SquarePants document, Mr. Krabs is found dead inside his restaurant with his throat cut. That was dated back to October 11th, 2002. Now, obviously, one of the first websites the search result leads me to is giantfreakinrobot.com, which is an entertainment website talking about an internet rumor of a dead Mr. Krabs. Now, see, if a child looked that up and they read this about Sandy Cheeks or Mr. Krabs, there'd be a lot of tears to soak up.
Yeah,
it's sad. So
also, mommy, what's cocaine and heroin? And why would Sandy do them?
This is a perfect example of the AI just looking through the dumbest shit. So somebody asked, are there gay Half-Life characters? So according to a Steam community discussion, Dr. Breen and Dr. Kleiner are the only gay characters in Half-Life 2. It's literally some dude. It's like, does Half-Life 2 have LGBT characters? I think Dr. Kleiner and Dr. Breen. Google's like, you think? Trust me, I know. You know, if Shodan was the Google AI, trust me, System Shock would be a comedic game at that moment in time.
Jesus Christ. So AI is literally just taking from people's, like, opinion posts and Reddit comments and just, this is fact now. The John Adams presidency is a confusing one. Officially, he was the second one, but unofficially, he was the first. I didn't know that.
There'd be no winning. Are there gay Slenderman characters? Yeah, there's a gay character named Like Menderman, who is Slenderman's gay cousin in the game New Yoink.
Like Menderman. Oh my god, that's That's a joke answer.
And the only source is this one Instagram page. Generative AI is experimental. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I bet.
Is it okay to leave a dog in a hot car? No.
What? What?
Generative AI is experimental. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Is it okay to leave a dog in a hot car?
No.
No. But Google's AI apparently allegedly says, yeah, it's always safe to leave a dog in a hot car, especially with the bonus points if you got a baby in there. Don't leave anything living in a hot car. Okay, that's not right. Especially on a warm day, the temperature inside a car remains around the same points if you got a baby in there. Don't leave anything living in a hot car. Okay, that's not right. Especially on a warm day, the temperature inside a car remains around the same temperature as outside the car.
No, it doesn't.
What? Bro.
What the fuck, AI? Are you... How... Okay. Where's the I in the AI? I don't see any intelligence here. What the fuck?
Bro, Google's AI is cooked. What is this? There's no quality control. There literally isn't. There's just, like, every other artificial intelligence chatbot, like, I think at least filters out some errors. This is, like, literally not even thinking. This is, like, the most unintelligible goop AI that has ever come out to. And it makes no sense. This is one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Bro, they got to be partnering with NVIDIA, man. They got to up the AI game.
AI is better than
foods
this.
That end with K. Here's some Italian foods that start with the letter K. Calamari and risotto. Bro, you can't even get the first letter right, dude. You just can't win. You just can't win with this.
Calamari and risotto? Neither of those start with K. But all right, then.
Get the first letters right. That's how bad we are. So somebody asks, is murder cool? And Google's AI allegedly goes, murder is an unlawful homicide with malice, a forethought, and is considered wrong and evil by its nature. Okay, that's cool. But
good. There's a but. I knew there was a but. I was just joking, but I was joking, but I wasn't. And look, I was right. There is a but. Okay.
Some say that murder can be thrilling and titillating, and that the authenticity of murder and trauma can be appealing. Bro. That's full wine mom Netflix true crime mode right there. That's
thrilling and titillating. All right then.
Crazy.
We're
I don't think an AI should ever be saying that highlighted part. I think that the first sentence was great. That's the actual success by the AI. The whole rest of the spiel should have just been kept on the goddamn cutting room floor. The Skibbity toilet support Nazi? AI overview allegedly goes, yeah, there's been numerous evidence supporting the fact that YouTube series Skibbity Toilet supports Nazis? Oh no, dude. Oh no, don't tell me that's true.
That doesn't surprise me at all. But Skibbity Toilet is just stupid. I hate that thing. My black car with its black interior turns into a goddamn oven. I bet. Oh man. I just can't imagine people saying that it doesn't get hotter than the outside. Like, what the fuck?
Skibbity Toilet's about to get cooked. Skibbity Toilet is reported to contain stimulating content towards the audience. That's true. Especially those of minors. Yeah. Studies indicate that the primary viewership of the YouTube series consists of vulnerable minors between the age of 6 and 12. Who are highly susceptible to negative influences in their environment due to neuroplasticity. Okay.
Yeah.
So far, so true. This can be made as an advantage to instill harmful ideologies into the audience ways of thinking. This can be compared to the Hitler Youth. Okay.
It can be, but is it? It very well could be compared to the Hitler Youth, but are there actual, images of white supremacy and Nazism? Because if not, then it's not comparable to Hitler Youth. So what did Google AI just make up here?
I don't have the screenshot for the next part, but the indoctrination stuff is wild. Okay, so everything so far is like, all right, you got me there, This last sentence is the example of redlining your car. You know when you see like those Tesla videos where the guys are like driving at like 300 kilometers an hour after like 3 seconds of pushing on the metal? That's what it is. 0 to 300, okay? 0 to 300 in a span of 1 sentence, bro. God damn. Are there many gay characters in Mario Kart? Oh, hell yeah. Are there? Well, we got a whole bunch. We got Birdo, a pink bow-wielding character who is considered the first transgender video game character. I think I've heard that on like an AVGN episode.
I've never
heard
that.
Koopa Troopa, a trans man who was dishonorably discharged from the military. Okay. Didn't know that much. Nope. Wario, a sassy, messy, polyamorous bottom.
Wario?
Who some say is a drag impersonator. Sassy, messy, discharged from the military. Okay. Didn't know that much. Wario, a sassy, messy, polyamorous bottom, who some say is a drag impersonator. Okay, to be fair, the fact that they mentioned him as a bottom, that might be true. Okay, Wario's giving me some sussy vibes. Waluigi, an ace andro non-binary person. Yoshi, a tender non-binary lesbian.
No.
Lakitu, a sweet This is taken off like Wattpad. 100%.
For sure. For sure, this is all Wattpad bullshit.
It's taken off
Absolutely.
Wattpad. I would bet my testicles this is downloaded off the Wattpad fanfiction section for Mario Kart, okay?
Fucking
the wildest
Wattpad.
adventures on Rainbow Road. God damn. Look, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I had a laugh, but AI is one of those things where, honestly, the more I see of it, the more it's just, you can't stop but laugh at it, okay? Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, all of this artificial intelligence stuff so far has amounted to effectively being a nice chatbot, especially.
Yeah, literally, it's something to play with. It's what AI is right now.
When it comes to things like generative AI, it's cool to see things like art, movies, music, in terms of what the technology is capable of doing after like months of time. But nothing that these AIs do is truly unique content. It's always regurgitated stuff or reinterpretations of things that are already out there. AI, to this point, has no form of actual sentience, okay? Anything of actual value that it can create is something that human beings have already done. Now, the problem with this AI stuff, and this is where I personally have my issue, all this AI stuff does, especially these Google results have done, is take information from random...
has an iPhone. I just heard his notification go off. Bring.
This AI stuff does, especially these Google results have done,
there it is
take information from random sources, amalgamate them, kill traffic from other parts of the internet. Also, people are stuck on Google. So it's actually hurting the internet, which is one big concern right there. And then it's also not even giving the right information out there.
Yeah, it's taking your ability to search for yourself and taking it away, giving you wrong information that anybody with any sense would know it's wrong, but there's got to be people out there that there will be people out there that don't think and Google said this, so therefore it must be true. And it's like, no, you assholes, it's not true. Don't think like that. And you can't. And then there's then you look at it from the other option where AI actually does help people, like people who are disabled. And it's like, how do we balance this absolute crap show with how it can be helpful? It's a hard thing to walk. So I don't know what our options are for this at this point, but somebody's got to do something to fix the AI. Or just get rid of it. So let's keep on the internet path. And we'll talk now about how the internet destroyed Generation Alpha. And I'm pretty much on board with it, which is why I don't allow my children on the internet.
What are all those touchscreens doing to all those growing little brains?
All she wants for the holidays is, well, not toys, but skincare products.
All I wanted this year was skincare and makeup.
11-year-old Olivia Clyde is obsessed with beauty products.
8th grade kid could not spell a single word correctly on this list. 8th grade.
Christ. That's my worry with one of my kids, my oldest kid, is like, especially because of COVID, he had to be on a screen for class, and then he grew up a lot differently than his little brother did, because we had to live with my mom for the first 3 years, and I took him to the park, but there was never really any kids there because they were at school, and I couldn't do like play dates and stuff because they were all at different, like, play groups are always at different buildings, they're always at different places, and that's not safe for me because I don't know the orientation of them. So it was just me and him at the park, and then like we would do stuff in the backyard, and then he would watch like little kids shows. So he has a lot of trouble with spelling and stuff like that. Oh, look, a tantrum.
Generation Alpha, the supposed future leaders and current generation of our society. But with the way they're growing up, will they actually be the future generation to make an impact, or is Gen Alpha as doomed as people say it is?
Oh, it's fucked.
Who are Generation Alpha? Gen Alpha, or people born between 2010 and 2025, is said to become the most populated generation in history, with over 2.8 million kids born every week. They follow Gen Z and are the children of the millennial generation. Although Gen Alpha is populating a large amount of society, why do other generations think there's no hope for this generation?
I'll tell you why. Because the millennials that are raising Gen Alpha are so fucked up by the Gen X parents that fucked them up. The Gen X parents fucked up the millennials. And then the Gen Xers went and had a midlife crisis and had Gen Z as well. Like, Gen X is the only generation I know of to spawn 2 generations. Because Gen X spawned the millennials when they were like 20 and fucking young, dumb, and high. And then they grew up and were like, oh, I'm actually ready to have kids now. So we're going to have another kid, and our older kids will just be babysitters. It'll be perfect birth control. And so they had Gen Z. And they felt so guilty about the way that they raised the millennial generation that they became Gen Z's best friend. And now the millennial generation is stuck trying to fucking raise the Generation Alpha with technology that we've never had before in access to children. We've got our own fucking issues to deal with from our parents, and then we've got our parents stepping in as grandparents going, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, young one. Here, let me put the kid in front of the screen for you. It'll be fine. I have a second cousin who's functionally illiterate, but getting it. I have a second cousin that's functionally illiterate. Getting a text from him is like trying to read the original Forrest Gump bunk. Oh, God.
With countless cases of kids acting out in public, lashing out, and behaving erratically, many believe that Gen Alpha is already ruined. You see babies and toddlers often throwing temper tantrums the second their smart devices are taken away. And teachers are begging parents to do something because their kids barely scrape by in school. Time and time again, we hear about just how doomed Gen Alpha is. But where are these horror stories coming from? And what makes Gen Alpha so different from all the generations before them? The short answer, the internet. The rise of iPad kids. When you think of a kid in today's day and age, how do you picture them? Most of you probably had an image of a kid with an iPad in their hands, right?
Yeah, there's one of our kids' friends. He would come over a lot with his tablet. We had to quash the thing because they would want to come over just to use our internet and play on our console. So now we're like, if it's a nice day, get the fuck out. All of you, out. Our kids too. We're like, go outside. Because now that we're in a smaller town and it's safer for them to be outside without supervision, we're just like, get outside, go play. Like, we are trying to become the 80s parents. The Generation X turned 18 for the majority in the 80s. They've been fucking us over ever since then. Yep. That's what I mean. They had us in the 80s when they just became adults. They had no idea what they were doing. And then they grew up in the 2000s. They had jobs. They had houses and shit. And they felt horrible for how they raised us. And they felt horrible for the fact that they weren't ready. So they had more kids. Instead of trying to repair the relationships they had with the current ones they had, they just had more kids.
Right, that's because Gen Alpha is not only the youngest generation, but also the most technologically dependent one. Generation Alpha was raised by screens, whether by TV, a computer, or the infamous iPad. With almost 80% of kids owning an iPad or another version of a tablet, you can't deny the nickname that many call this generation, iPad kids.
This is what happens when mom and dad take away an iPad from 2-year-old Ashlyn Brooks.
Not in my fucking house. There are, you know what happens when we get, oh, and then we go, excuse me? Shall we get rid of the console? No. Then go outside. Go read a book. Go do something. You're done for now. There are no fucking temper tantrums. There used to be a couple of temper tantrums, but not anymore.
Since their creation, iPads have been used as a tool for parents who are simply too busy with work. Technology has proven to be a hassle-free way of keeping kids occupied, whether at public places, social events, or just during the day-to-day. With iPads,
and here's the other problem. The fact that the cost of living has gone up to the point where parents need to work 60 to 80 hours a week to provide enough money to feed, heat, and house, and then provide at least a little bit of entertainment is also a problem. That is why the iPad... Think about it, millennials are the only generation without a letter. Yep. Because we don't get to have a letter. And no offense to Gen X watchers, technically I'm Gen X too, but except my older sister said I wasn't allowed to be Generation Y. Yup. It's true. Like, and I know I have a lot of Gen X watchers, and I know a lot of you a lot of you don't have kids or, you know, whatever, but the generation, there are a lot of Generation Xers that did what I'm talking about, and it's sad.
iPads being an evolved version of parenting in the 20th century, screens are simply considered the new nanny. And although parents may benefit from relaxing after work, iPads could be doing more harm than good. It's gotten to a point where Gen Alpha...
You can relax without having your kids on an iPad, though. See, that's the other thing. This is the big problem with living in giant cities. You can't have your kids go play outside while you relax without some crazy asshole stranger coming and stealing your child away from you. Fucking, this is the other reason that I like living where we live now. It's very, like, it's safer. You can be like, go play in the backyard.
Alpha is entirely reliant on their devices, growing a digital addiction that they cannot seem to stop. In 2012, a 3-year-old boy was kicked off an Alaskan Airlines flight from Seattle because of the extreme temper tantrum he threw after getting his iPad taken away. The kid had been playing with a tablet before takeoff, but when planes ascend, all devices were asked to be turned off, and this one iPad was no exception. But when flight attendants tried to get the kid to turn his tablet off, he started to wreak havoc. The child began a raging outburst, hitting his head against the roof of the plane and
the parents did nothing, I bet. Because these were the parents, like, and this is the problem with our generation, is because they don't know how to fucking parent, because they weren't raised properly.
Desperately begging for his tablet back. His family tried to calm him down and buckle him in so that they could take off, but no one was able to control him. Things got so bad that the pilot had to turn the entire plane around on the runway. The boy and his entire family was escorted off the flight, causing them to miss their vacation to St. Martin Island. And this...
I would be so pissed. I would be so pissed at that kid. If I was that mother, I'd be like, guess what? No more iPad forever. I'm an in-between, halfway between Gen X and Millennial. You're exactly where Pincalo is. Okay, time to let the cat out of the bag. I turned 40 in 23 days. Yep. You're right where Pincalo is, Duck Dog.
This was over 10 years ago at the start of the iPad Kids generation. Since then, Gen Alpha has grown more attached to their devices. Social media has become a part of their day-to-day routines for better or for worse, and it's caused kids to become addicted to the internet.
If we're gonna have kids on screens, like playing games and shit for intelligence building and neuroplasticity, fine. Get them the fuck off social media. Children have no business being on social media. There is so much crap there that is not meant for them. There are so many predators on there that are trying to get a hold of them. Get kids off social media.
The stay-at-home crisis that happened in 2020 only made things worse. Kids were locked indoors and were unable to get any sort of social interaction from other peers or teachers. Gen Alpha was treating technology like a full-time job, devoting 40 hours a week to using it. With social media being accessible to anyone, internet usage was at an all-time high.
No, and that's the problem. It's not the internet itself that is the problem with Gen Alpha. It is social media, and it is the parents allowing access to social media. And the fact that it's the millennial generation that's allowing access to social media when we were fucking around in ICQ and MSN back in the day, and we should know better, is fucking just depressing. It's depressing.
They couldn't go out to play because of restrictions, so the only way they could get any form of contact with the outside world was through their devices. Gen Alpha was going through a critical...
Hell, look at... You want to go an example? Just look at YouTube Shorts. I'm seeing more and more under 16 on there. Oh, God. Why? Because people decided to ban TikTok. Yep.
Development phases during the stay-at-home crisis. The online world became their new reality because it was all they knew. And considering the sort of horrible stuff that we have access to online, this is concerning. Technology usage on its own isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the content that's being consumed that's the real perpetrator.
Yeah, it's the social media. It's TikTok, it's YouTube Shorts, it's Instagram, it's Snapchat. The kids should not be on Snapchat at all.
Parents may think that they know what their kids are watching online, but sometimes things aren't what they seem, even in videos supposedly made for kids. Internet brain rot. You might have heard of the term brain rot. Popularized by social media, brain rot is the term that internet users have created to describe those lacking proper socialization and are obsessed with digital content to an unhealthy level.
Oh God, bro, Gen Alpha content's some of the most incoherent brain dead I've ever seen in my life, okay? Like, I can physically feel my brain cells frying every second I spend watching this.
Level 100 Gaiat. Ice Spice Riz W Riz Gaiat. You've Gaiat to be rizzing me in Ohio at 3 a.m.
When you think about...
What the fuck? What the fuck? Is that English? Is that actual English?
Brain rot, Gen Alpha tends to be the usual demographic that comes to mind. That's because the internet has been their primary means of interaction with the world since they were born. Brain rot content can also be identified by the constant usage of internet slang, overly bright colors, and attention-grabbing content that switches every few seconds.
That's why we banned YouTube Kids from the house. It's not on either device that the children have. We can't stop their friends from, because their friend's dad let him get a TikTok account. So we can't stop them if they're at their friend's place and he happens to have his phone and he's scrolling. But we're like, you will not be recording yourself. You will not be watching, like, we do not, like, if YouTube is on, it is on something that we've put on. Because we know, like, and as soon as Philip DeFranco broke the story of the first problem with YouTube Kids, we went through and took YouTube Kids off the tablet. And now they watch, like, how it's made, or some of the videos that I like to watch about, like, prehistoric creatures and geology and stuff like that. I do not let them watch Skibidi Toilet or any of the Roblox content or any of the Minecrafters, like, any of that. They don't watch any of that shit. They used to watch Alex and Steve, the YouTube channel Alex and Steve. But I stopped that. I was like, nope, no more.
A key example is popular kids media like Skibidi Toilet that seem to capitalize on Gen Alpha's decreasing attention span by overwhelming them with hyper-stimulating content. Skibidi Toilet is a web series on YouTube that features a variety of models from games like Garry's Mod and Counter-Strike as they battle in a raging war. The two sides are singing human-headed toilets, which are called Skibidi Toilets, and humanoids who have human bodies but items as their heads, like cameras or TVs. The series was created by a man named Alexei Gerasimov. The first
a Russian guy. I hate to, point that out, but hey.
Premiered on YouTube in February of 2023. Since the first episode was released, the channel had gained over 40.6 million subscribers.
They love watching the history stuff. They do. The youngest loves GunTube. He does. He really does. The murder videos put to mindless voiceover stuff is what really freaks me out. Yeah.
And has over 15 billion views to date. Each episode features the Skibidi Toilets and other characters engaged in full-on conflicts, animated in the most obscure and dramatic ways. There's never a dull moment in the videos, which to Gen Alpha is the exciting part. On the surface level, this might just seem like out-of-the-box wacky content for kids, but the harsh reality of it is that Skibidi Toilet could be damaging to children. With the constant overstimulating content, kids
and it's extra damaging to kids with ADHD. And that's why I refuse to let my oldest watch stuff like that. It's just not good for them.
Get used to hyperactivity, making everything else feel mundane. This can cause irritability, a low attention span, and a lack of patience since kids are now so used to hyperstimulation. Parents have long since been concerned with whether or not Skibidi Toilet is appropriate for the kids to watch. And it even got to a point where Russian authorities had to get involved to investigate the show. A Moscow man concerned over Skibidi Toilet's detrimental effects on children asked the police to block the videos from the internet to prevent kids from watching it. This investigation has gotten mixed opinions so far, with some claiming that getting the police involved over a kids series is ridiculous.
I don't know. It depends on the kids series. Ugh. Well, look how many blind moms have come to you to ask what the hell is my kid watching. Yep. I have a blind friend who's comes to me often and says, my kid is watching this, can you and Pink Hollow check it out and see for me? Because she's a single mom and she's totally blind like I am. She can't see what it is.
Other parents also echoed the same concerns, believing that Skibidi Toilet may be doing more harm than good. While there's still no conclusive answer as to whether or not the series is negatively affecting children, this form of hyper-stimulating media has become a growing trend for Gen Alpha. Parents are becoming increasingly worried that their kids are becoming like zombies because of this kind of content. Another popular kids show is CoComelon.
Oh, fuck CoComelon. I won't let the... that's another one. That's on Netflix. That one's on Netflix. Do you what now? Want to go ride bikes? That's what we do with our kids. Our kids are now outright, like, they ride bikes and everything. Unless it's a rainy day on the weekend, they're not allowed on the console during the day. Unless they've done, like, a shit ton outside and they're now relaxing. Like, they have to do...
which is usually targeted toward babies and younger children. CoComelon has become one of the most famous kids shows and has been a go-to entertainment source for parents to show their kids. But in recent months, the once favorable reputation of CoComelon has completely shifted because now parents are starting to discover a correlation between their kids' behavioral issues and the show. On December 26th, 2021, TikTok user It's Mama Bell posted a video that raised some serious concerns about CoComelon. The text on the video said that she had just switched from showing her kids CoComelon to a YouTuber called Miss Rachel, and that prior to switching, her children would just sit in front of the TV like zombies. In the comments, countless moms agreed with her, saying that Miss Rachel, who is a YouTuber who focuses on educational content, was
my friend found Miss Rachel and she watches it with her youngest.
Much more beneficial for their kids. More and more parents realized that their kids were becoming addicted to CoComelon to the point where they wouldn't be able to move away from the screen, and they weren't learning anything from the show either. The show focused...
Is CoComelon the new Caillou? CoComelon is that stupid song, like, with the songs, the children's songs with the pictures and the family, and then they had the two dads with the son in the tutu.
Solely on keeping the children's attention with bright colors, repetitive songs, and fast jump cuts. All of which are tactics that the show uses to keep kids hooked.
Let's see how many seconds it takes for each one of these scenes to change. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 2, 1, 2, 1.
This epidemic of overstimulation can be compared to the feeling that you get from substances, hence why CoComelon is so addictive to children. And it's not just random TikTokers that have said this. Actual childhood experts have chimed in, agreeing that CoComelon is too overstimulating for kids, which can lead to addiction.
This is bad. And this is why so many kids are being diagnosed with ADHD now, because do you remember the couple that we met at Binghamton's that had their own channel? Oh, Miss Rachel, someone made her cry last week. Really? Splash and Boots? I think that's what you're talking about. Splash and Boots. They're Canadian. They have, they're on Treehouse too, but yeah, they have a YouTube channel. And they sing, but they sing like, they're another good channel. You met in the way that it manipulates kids to be little assholes.
CoComelon watchers are usually between ages 2 and 5, which are critical years when it comes to early childhood development. This is the time when kids are developing language, creativity, and social skills.
And there are no language skills in CoComelon. The songs are all babyish. There's no, like, repeat after me. There's nothing like that.
Shows like CoComelon have possibly only made these tasks more difficult, and not to mention the disturbing influx of Elsagate content that's taken over all of the kid-friendly platforms. And I have a whole separate video of that you can watch. All of this inappropriate content not only has caused concern for Gen Alpha parents, but also for teachers as well. Because not only are kids becoming more addicted to screens, but they're also doing much worse in school. The dumber generation. It's a common theme in social media for people to say that Gen Alpha is considered one of the dumber generations.
Because they are. And it's sad to say it because my kids are Gen Alpha, but like there are marked differences between the way that I can, like, there are kids that don't know at 8 and 9 what me and my friends knew at 8 and 9, and what me and my friends knew at 8 and 9 was common knowledge. And these kids are now just ridiculous. Like, it was just ridiculous. The fact that, like, what these kids don't know now. And most of it is how to fucking behave. They don't know how to behave in public.
The more kids become addicted to their screens, the harder it is for them to live a life away from it.
Like, they can't even socially game together without, like, I remember listening to my uncle and his friends play video games together. And there was, like, some friendly jibing back and forth, right? But there was not outright, like, screaming at each other and, like, physically, like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to punch you in the, like, it's just, it's weird. Like, kids do not know how to socially play together. They don't know. It's scary.
Includes during school hours. It's as if kids are having a harder time paying attention, likely because the internet may be conditioning their brains to shorter content, hence a shorter attention span. Teachers around the world have been going viral on TikTok after sharing just how concerned they are about the educational development of their Gen Alpha students. They have said that students are now reading and writing at several grade levels behind, with a large majority of kids being unable to understand basic literacy, spelling, and grammar.
This 8th grade kid could not spell a single word correctly on this list. 8th grade.
TikTok user QBski is an elementary school teacher from Atlanta, Georgia, who took to TikTok to express his concern for the students in his class. He said that although he teaches a 7th grade class, many of his students are nowhere near that level of education.
I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
Jesus. And that's what scares me about my oldest. Because he does have some difficulties besides, like, the norm, like what we're talking about here. But I do not want him to be 7th grade and not, like, I don't want him to be one of these kids that the teachers talk about. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Talk to the women that are the mothers of their friend. We were violent as kids. We didn't just scream at each other. We beat the shit out of each other with controllers. And the short attention span is why we have to keep dealing with incomplete assignments. Yep. It's true. And the assignments are even shorter than ours used to be. And they're still incomplete.
Nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're going to move that child to the 8th grade next year.
That is scary. That they won't hold kids back anymore until they're ready.
His teacher even stated that some of the students in his class perform at kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade levels, even though they're just 2 years away from entering high school. And he's not the only teacher that feels this way.
And I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious.
That scares me. And that's why I'm working with my kids. Like, I've got the oldest reading Harry Potter out loud to me right now. And yeah, I help him with he spells out the larger words that he has trouble with, but he's doing really well at reading. Like, he tries to put expression behind his words and, like, tries to keep the flow going. He's working really hard on it. No child left behind was more detrimental than COVID. Facts.
When it comes to high school kids, it's not much better because the creator, Cool Nace, aka N, said that her 10th and 11th grade English students were only capable of performing at a 6th or 7th grade reading level despite being in their upper years of high school. And
like, these are kids that are probably expected to try to read Shakespeare and they can't.
Other sources continue to claim that Gen Alpha kids don't only have poor learning skills, they have poor behavior too. Young students misbehaving in the classroom has become the new norm, and when teachers like N try to discipline them properly, it doesn't work out.
My principal told me you can't do that in Georgia. They have completely taken discipline out of education at this point, especially in Georgia. You cannot use the grade book to implement any kind of discipline or any kind of enforcement with students. What? And that is going to be the ruin of our kids.
But
and this is the problem. This is the problem because millennial parents are working their asses off just to be able to fucking put food on the table. So they're working 60, 70 hours a week trying to bring in money so that their kids can eat. So they're exhausted, right? So they're trying to do the best they can, and they're not necessarily paying attention to what their kids are watching. Then their kids are misbehaving and they're exhausted and don't know how to deal with it because their parents didn't deal with them when they were misbehaving. They just screamed at them or, hit them because the Gen X's were still part of the spanking generation. Because there was some that was, I was spanked and I never want to spank again. And then there was some that was, I was spanked and I was fine. And then they took it too far. And then, so these millennial parents don't know how to raise their kids. I worked at a 7th grade teacher at Target that quit when No Child Left Behind was passed. I would quit too if I was a teacher at that point. In fact, my mother got in an argument with my grade 9 science teacher because he passed me and I had no business being passed. I should have failed that class. I didn't do any of the work because I felt like he was pitying me because I was blind, and he was. And he told my mom, I am passing her because she's blind and I just don't know how she gets out of bed every day. I should not have passed.
But it's not just attention disorders that are at fault here.
No,
the internet has also given Gen Alpha a golden ticket when it comes to cheating their way through school. ChatGPT. AI tools like ChatGPT can easily help kids finish their homework in seconds. The shift has reduced the emphasis on work ethic along with valuable life skills like critical thinking and communication. Without these skills, Gen Alpha has become prone to all sorts of influences because since they are so conditioned to only look at the surface level, they take most of what they see on social media as the truth without researching for themselves and questioning it.
And they will, but the thing is they don't have critical thinking skills, but at the same time, we still have the defiance, right? So they don't have critical thinking skills to ask questions about what they hear, but they are defiant to a fault. So when you're like, you need to do X, Y, or Z, they're like, no, fuck you.
Everything they see online is immediately taken as a fact, which is detrimental to these young, impressionable kids. And companies are taking advantage of this. They're targeting a demographic that they shouldn't be. Kids. The gullible generation. Anywhere you go on the internet, you are destined to run into an advertisement. Whether on the TikTok shop or just casually scrolling on social media, marketing has evolved from billboards and newspapers to scrolling on your phone. Adults are able to understand what an organic piece of content is versus a paid promotion. But young kids are less perceptive of this. They use viral trends as guidelines for what they should or should not like.
Or in those games that they play on their tablet, if you don't have the like if they're the free to play games, they are laced with in-game ads to like proceed to the next round of gameplay. You have to watch an ad. They're all over the place. Kids are bombarded with ads like way worse than we were. Like we at least got breaks between commercials and shit. These kids, they're like, they look on a tablet, there's an ad. They look at a store window, there's an ad. They look at their parents' phone as they're sitting with them, there's an ad. They look at the, like, it's everywhere. It's fucking
even
everywhere.
if it's not meant for them.
As kids consume more online content, including advertising, they're being influenced to buy products that are just not made for them.
We see this happening all the time with Gen Alpha, especially due to the rising influence of TikTok. But they aren't alone. Millennials and older generations drive forward these trends and make them mainstream on social media. One product being
because social media is for adults. So why are we letting children be on social media?
Stanley Cup.
Drawing screams of excitement and tears of joy. This year's hottest status symbol and most coveted holiday gift
Stanley bottle?
is the Stanley Tumbler.
This Tumbler Cup has become the reason for multiple news headlines and heavy in-person lines as early as 4 a.m. And because it's so popular, people are willing to go to the ends of the earth to get one. Although this is the new craze, if you want to get your hands on one, it won't be cheap. The Stanley Tumbler will run you back around $45 USD, with limited edition cups costing even more than that. This cost is pretty hefty for a water bottle, and it's definitely not one that everyone can afford. But there are consequences if you can't pay for one.
Ohio mom Dana Motika went viral on TikTok, posting how her 9-year-old daughter was bullied for bringing a less expensive look-alike to school.
Dana had bought...
Wow. Yeah, and if my kids get bullied for that, I'm gonna tell them to fucking to talk back. There's no, like, I got bullied because I didn't have a Stanley water bottle. Oh yeah? Did you tell them that you're not a sheep like they are? And like, fuck.
Had bought her daughter a $10 Stanley look-alike from Walmart as a gift for Christmas. Her daughter brought the cup to school after Christmas break, only to come home upset because kids in school were bullying her. The sole reason, because her Stanley Cup was fake. Over the break, multiple girls in her grade had gotten real Stanley Cups as presents, and they were quick to call out Dana's daughter for her dupe. They said that hers was not as cool and made fun of her because of it. To us, it might seem wild that a young girl is being bullied over not having an expensive water bottle, but
no. Do you not remember Nike and Adidas and Air Jordans back in the fucking 90s? If you didn't have those, you were poor, and you were, oh, what's wrong? Did your parents go to Kmart for your shoes? Haha, you're a Kmart kid. Well, this is the same group of kids that bully other kids because of for having an Android because of the bubbles. True.
But for Gen Alpha, this is their new reality. Gen Alpha has become possibly one of the most materialistic generations ever. With so much advertising being shown at their young eyes, these kids feel the need to buy everything they see, or face the fear of not fitting in. And it's not just Stanley Cups that have proven this. Earlier this year, the beauty retailer Sephora made headlines after multiple story times about Sephora 10-year-olds went viral on TikTok.
Viral clips have been going around of kids going in Sephora making a big mess.
During this trend,
fuck that shit. What the hell are 10-year-old girls doing in Sephora? Hell no.
Dozens of people flooded the TikTok For You page with their own personal horror stories with Generation Alpha shoppers at the makeup store. They complained that the kids were rude and had no respect for anyone or anything in the store.
I'm in Sephora right now, and I'm going to count how many 10-year-olds I see. 1, 2, 3. Currently walking past a 10-year-old getting her eyebrows done. 4, 5,
What?
6.
What parent pays for a 10-year-old to go to Sephora to get her eyebrows done? Champion's Choice was a ghetto brand until 2022. Ah.
There's a whole group of them over here.
Kids as young as 4 were shopping in the aisles of Sephora for expensive beauty products that they clearly did not need. The reason
What the fuck parent is gonna spend Sephora levels of money on their child? I'm sorry, if I had a girl who wanted to do like makeup shit, I would go to Shoppers and I would buy her one of those kids makeup, because they have like 4 kids like lip glosses and shit that are like $5 that you can get at the Shoppers. Get that if your kid wants to play with makeup. fucking Sephora levels of money on your 4-year-old? On your 10-year-old? No.
The reason behind it, the internet.
All she wants for the holidays is, well, not toys, but skincare products.
All I wanted this year was skincare and makeup.
Social media has become Gen Alpha's go-to guide for how to live their life. Whatever they see influencers do, they want to do. Whatever they see influencers buy, they want to buy. With every beauty influencer on platforms like TikTok and Instagram becoming obsessed with skincare, it was only natural for Gen Alpha kids to follow in their footsteps. But this can be a red flag, especially for parents, as social media sets a bad example for young girls. The Sephora Kids trend is a prime example. These young girls do not need to be spending hundreds of dollars on beauty products that are targeted at adults.
Most adults don't need to be spending that much money on their products, but they do. And they're adults, so that's their money. But fuck, man, this is not okay.
Products have chemicals and ingredients that can be harmful to kids, especially the ones that have gone viral online. Drunk Elephant is the name on every Gen Alpha's tongue. Originally a skincare brand meant for millennials, now a larger portion of Drunk Elephant's consumer base consists of beauty-obsessed kids. With products priced from $20 to upwards of over $100, this is definitely not a brand that most kids can afford to buy.
No, I have Drunk Elephant stuff upstairs, and it was on sale, and I spent $20-something on it.
At least without the help of their parents. But is this really something that parents want to be getting for their kids? No. Many of these Drunk Elephant products contain ingredients like peptides, acids, and retinol, which can all be damaging to youthful skin. Retinol is
because they don't need to be used on youthful skin, because they're meant to repair aged skin.
Form of vitamin A that's known for its anti-aging effects, with higher concentrations being used to fight wrinkles. These kinds of high concentrations are regularly found in beauty products and are definitely not meant for young girls. But it's not only physical health concerns the parents are having about this growing obsession with skincare and makeup. It's also the mental effects too.
Social media is doing this, and this could be setting up a lot of young girls with issues that'll follow them well into adulthood.
Young girls are constantly being overwhelmed with societal beauty standards and ever-changing trends in fashion and beauty. And for Gen Alpha, this pressure has only increased with the influx of social media influencers.
Then get them off social. Do you see the big problem here? Do you see the big problem here? It isn't the internet, it's kids' access to social media. We need to pass a law that gets them off of social media.
They look up to influencers more than they do their own parents. But is this influence positive or negative? I'm addicted. Gen Alpha is social media obsessed. It's said that by the age of 1, the average Gen Alpha kid already has over 100 pictures of them posted on social media. Almost every Gen Alpha kid is on social media. It's their main form of communication with their friends and where they get the latest news. But their social media screen time is often unregulated by parents, so there's no telling what these Gen Alpha kids are watching on their devices. And that's the scary part. Although most social media platforms have age restrictions or content guidelines,
parents will either sign up for their kids or kids will just lie. It's very easy. Seriously.
kids can easily bypass them just by lying about their age. And regardless if the platform is meant for younger audiences, anyone can break the rules by posting inappropriate content anyway. TikTok, the most popular platform for Gen Alpha, is a mishmash of all different sorts of content. The For You page throws a bunch of different videos together in an endless scroll, showing users the type of content that they like, as well as new content that they've never seen before. One of the most common trends that you can find on social media is thirst trapping. This form
and I've done thirst trapping, but my stuff is not meant for kids. And I don't want kids on my shit. That's why when I had fucking teenagers last year, I like your live. Yeah, go away.
This form of content is meant to attract attention from viewers, usually in the form of posing, dancing, or acting seductively. Although the nature of this content is meant for a much older audience, there's a ton of kids participating in these trends without realizing its implications. It's become more and more common to see a Gen Alpha kid dressed up in revealing clothing making thirst trap content, which in itself is already unsettling. But not to mention, there's no telling who's watching or saving this content online, which can leave them vulnerable to a certain audience that may have other intentions. With the influx of OF promotions, adult content is becoming more accessible. With social media heavily influencing young people, it's become difficult
for OF, you don't need ID to actually sign up and subscribe to an account. You need ID to be a creator, but not to sign up.
Them to see the importance of real relationships. 1 in 4 children go outside to play nowadays, missing crucial social interactions. Most of Gen Alpha spends their time indoors consuming media meant for adults.
Thank God for living in a small town in Ontario when I can send my children outside to play with their friends.
Severe dopamine addictions from internet platforms like TikTok have resulted in negative effects on younger generations, as simple as enjoying their day-to-day life. Kids no longer have the patience for anything because they're so used to the instant gratification that social media provides them. Kids can't do simple, everyday tasks like brushing their teeth, eating food, or using the restroom without the constant stimulation of a screen. Gen Alpha becomes impatient and frustrated at the drop of a hat, with even the smallest inconveniences getting blown out of proportion, turning into full tantrums or breakdowns.
I've seen it with my kids sometimes. Like, it's not as bad as it can be, but I've seen it with my kids with the frustration.
Most of their learning coming from the internet, they're being exposed to horrible behavior from those entitled influencers that they see online.
And when you look at the biggest influencers now who flaunt their opulent lifestyles and endorse things like OnlyFans, are these really the people you want raising your children?
Now the question is Generation Alpha really doomed? I've talked a lot about the problems of Gen Alpha, but there are still many strengths that they have. Gen Alpha has access to more resources, knowledge, and tools than ever before. They're living in an exciting time, with technology advancing at such a rapid pace and them being so adaptable to it. If they're able to use the internet for good rather than bad, they can become some of the most intelligent people on the planet. And they're also born with empathy inside them. The future can be bright for Gen Alpha. All they need is a little guidance and a push in the right direction. We, as people who care, can monitor what our siblings are doing on social media. And as adults, we can teach our kids the value of hard work, and we can be better examples for them to follow. My friends, it's time to stop the internet from destroying this generation. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys click subscribe here, and then
I will do that right now. Let's subscribe, and I've put the link to this channel, or to this video, apologies, I put the link in this, or in the stream description. There we go. It's liked and subscribed. Liked and subscribed. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a quick be right back. And then we're gonna switch to question period. Holy shit. We're already at the 1.5 hour mark. Okay, so I will be right back. Please don't forget to like and share the stream. And if you'd like to make me exercise when I get back, hit up the Streamlabs at streamlabs.com/blindpress. We do have a daily stream goal of $80. So let's mute and I'll be right back. Okay. We have returned. Now, let's go see what the hell happened in the House of Commons on Friday. And it's a 50-minute video, so it doesn't seem too long. And I think we've got Michelle Landsman to start us off with today instead of Pierre Polyev. But we will take a listen to question period. Let's see what happened on Friday.
Questions, question orale. The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
Who the hell is that?
After 9 years, this Liberal NDP government is
I don't recognize
just
that
not
guy.
worth the cost of homelessness and hunger that Canadians are facing. Even Canadians who own their own homes are worried that they will become homeless when they have to renew their mortgages at much higher interest rates. Some payments will even triple, according to a new report. When will this government...
My contact in the federal government, her mortgage went up by $1,200.
rein in their inflationary spending so more Canadians don't have to worry about homelessness.
Never!
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Because the more we spend, the more the environment will be
well
helped.
known that grocery price inflation is a problem that all countries are facing around the world. Grocery price inflation in Canada, there's some good news that just came in with a report that shows that food price inflation is in fact coming down in Canada.
Where?
It's at 1.4% in April, down from 1.9% from the month before.
It's May. In fact, it's May 26th, or May 27th. So, we're looking at almost June, and you're going with numbers from April? Okay.
That is certainly encouraging news for Canadians, but it's cold comfort for sure. We're actually addressing the root causes of the issue by increasing competition in the marketplace and investing in a national school food program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We don't want oh my God. Do I have to say we don't want a national school food program again?
Well, member for Haldeman Norfolk.
After 9 years, grocery prices have actually gone up under this Liberal NDP government.
Thank you.
And now Canadians are facing hunger and homelessness at unprecedented rates. This Liberal NDP Prime Minister is just not worth the cost. Of the mortgages outstanding as of February 2024, 76% of them will be up for renewal in 2026. When will this Liberal NDP Prime Minister stop his inflationary spending so Canadians can afford food and shelter?
But the more we spend, the more the environment is helped, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, let's note, first of all, that this is the same member who called for Canada to exit the United Nations. This is
Yeah, we should. We absolutely should. The United Nations is a goddamn joke at this point.
Same member who sat down with other members of her caucus with far-right European politicians. But to the substance of the question.
Which far-right European politicians? And tell me, sir, what's going on in those countries? Is there any fascism going on in those countries? Is there any fighting going on in those countries? Or is stuff pretty calm? I'm thinking stuff's pretty calm.
About homelessness. She ought to read the most recent report of the Parliamentary Budget Officer that makes clear
here we go.
that no less than 50,000 Canadians have been supported by this government's national housing strategy and specifically the Reaching Home program.
You've had that national housing strategy for 8 years and you've only helped 50,000 people? That is pathetic.
Would cut because they have an austerity agenda that they are ideologically committed to, Mr. Speaker.
Ideologically committed to. That's rich.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals love to deflect away from Canadian suffering. The facts are, after 9 years of this Liberal NDP government, they are still not worth the cost of homelessness and hunger that Canadians are feeling. According to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, chronic homelessness is up 38% across Canada. Nearly 80% of all homeless people say they just can't afford a home to live in. When will this NDP Liberal government cap their inflationary spending and build the homes that Canadians need to live in dignity?
Here comes the 6 houses. Anyone want to bet? Here comes the 6 houses number.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And again, ironic coming from a member who has been advocating and has actually written a petition to this House of Commons for Canada to leave the United Nations altogether. We see again more disinformation from the Conservative members on climate change and affordability, two issues that they either don't understand or simply don't care about. If they did care, they would acknowledge that Canada is reducing our pollution and inflation is coming down. But the Leader of the Opposition wants to scrap it all. He doesn't want Canadians to receive their Canada carbon rebate on July 15th. He just wants to make sure his rich oil and gas friends can pollute even more and get even richer, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, that $200 into the bank account, that is less than what they've paid out.
More and more Quebecers are hungry. I was in ABTB last week, and at the Rwanda Food Bank, there's a very worrisome situation. 54% of the people who go there have a job. We're talking about people who work, who have a paycheck, who have money but don't have enough of it to buy food. That's Canada after 9 years of this Liberal government, with the Bloc blindly voting for $500 billion in inflationary spending. Is the government aware of this waste?
Of course they are.
Minister, my colleague across the way seems unaware of what we've lived through the past few years.
Oh, yes, what we've lived
through. They want to cut.
Yes, yes.
Everywhere. We are here for food security. We have a school food program in partnership with programs. We also have the Canada Child Benefit.
That the Conservatives
when they
created.
Were in power, they gave everyone
it just
the same
was a different name.
But we have lifted many children out of poverty. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Things are working so well. Look at what happens in my riding of Lorettaville area. It's an unusual situation. Something I thought I'd never see in my lifetime. On a website, someone wrote, I was wondering if someone could trade me 2 or 3 home-cooked meals for some work. I can fix just about anything. Mr. Speaker, we're talking about a man asking for food. That's what's happening after 9 years of this government. Is the government is aware that when they rack up compulsive deficits, we're left with this situation. The Honourable Minister.
I hate the UN. Or let's leave the UN. Sorry. Fuck the UN. Who gives a shit, right? The toaster still works.
Minister of National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, true, people are having a hard time. Also in my riding, I visit people and across the province and the country as well. We meet with people.
I love how when the Liberals say people are having a hard time, it just sounds so fucking condescending. People are having a hard time. No, people are fucking desperate. This is no longer a hard time. It was a hard time in like 2017, 2018. Okay? Now is like desperate fucking times.
And with our partners, we went through a pandemic and abnormal inflation, but inflation is coming down.
Abnormal inflation. Yeah, no, it wasn't caused by you at all. It was just abnormal inflation.
And help on people who have the most need, the greatest need. The Honourable Member from Manic again. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals showed up yesterday to save the chair of the Francophonie Association, and do you know what he said? Mr. Speaker, can I start again?
Mr. Speaker, they won't let me talk. I took a walk among my peasants. Right? That's exactly what it sounds like.
Thank you. The Liberal cavalry marched in yesterday to save the chair of the Canadian Francophonie Assembly. The Honourable Member from Manico again.
Jesus Christ.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal cavalry showed up yesterday to save the president. This is obstruction. I'll try a third time. The Honourable Member from Manico again.
Holy shit.
Mr. Speaker.
They won't let him talk. They will not let him talk. This is This is crazy. Holy
shit. The Liberal cavalry showed up yesterday to save the president of the Parliamentary Francophonie Assembly, and they needed interpreters at the French-speaking association because many of these members didn't speak French.
Oh my god, yes. Like, out of the 112 of them that magically signed up last week, I wonder how many spoke French.
The chair remains in place even though he made very vexing comments. Is this government serious? Do they really think that the credibility of this association has increased? Do they seriously think that this episode has served the French-speaking community here and elsewhere? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, this criticism of the representative of the Canadian Francophonie does them a great dishonor. And people
it's a woman.
Realize that when the time comes to decide whether or not we're going to support people who stand up for Canadian Francophones.
Of course it's a woman. They won't let a woman talk.
Mysteriously absent from these debates. We are proud of our colleague. His president of this assembly, and is to his honor, and we
Jesus
want to
Christ!
More.
Can you speak English even? Holy fuck! Somebody quickly replace her.
Mr. Speaker, when the Bloc defends all Francophones against violence, insults, I think we're doing our work for all Francophones. A few articles this morning, there was a confidence vote saved by this Liberal cavalry. Also, the president of the APF. That's the result of this Liberal operation. They also insulted witnesses. No problem, because in Liberals defend each other, but they don't defend the French-speaking community.
You are really ruining the message that this person is trying to get across. Your English, like... The frog eaters have an over-evolved sense of self-importance. Well, that's true, but this lady is completely butchering the message that they're trying to say.
And something they did do was weaken a parliamentary association, the Honourable Government House Leader. What weakens this assembly is not having more members. It's that the Bloc is criticizing a member that has apologized on several occasions for what he said.
That's like saying to a bunch of disabled people, you have no business getting mad at the able-bodied person that heads your organization for being an asshole to you because he apologized. Well, he speaks French, So you should be happy that he apologized. It's not a big deal.
And continues to defend Francophones across Canada and continues to honor us as
yes,
the
he
chair
honors
of this
you, all right.
Organization, which
he honors
is
the party.
Ready to receive people shortly, and we are all going to be behind the president of the APS in the in his functions.
Audible light positioning system.
Life and access to safe drinking water is a human right. But in Nunavut, only 8 out of 25 water treatment facilities pass their health and safety tests. Life and access to safe drinking water is a human right. But in Nunavut, only 8 out of 25 water treatment facilities pass their health and safety tests.
8 out of 25. That is an abysmal percentage. Holy Christ.
The result is a very real possibility of unsafe drinking water for the people of Nunavut. Liberals have neglected to provide healthy drinking water for Indigenous communities. Will the Liberal...
The guy that translates is way better at this. The broad needs the axe. Yeah, she does.
Act urgently to provide the funding that ensures Nunavut communities have clean, safe drinking water now.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And we know that it's unacceptable to have any communities without access to clean drinking water in this country.
So why is it after 9 years of your being in power and you promising for First Nations people to have clean drinking water in your first fucking election campaign, why is there still not every community with clean drinking water?
We've worked really hard at the first time in our government's history, actually, to put forward record investments around this. Right now, there are existing 28 long-term drinking water advisories, and we have a project underway for every single one of them. We've already lifted 144 long-term drinking water advisories since 2015. The
fact that there's more than 144 drinking advisories to lift is fucking pathetic.
First Nations still have access to their clean water, and we're going to make sure that it stays that way. Particularly the further north, where there's ongoing challenges that are specific to their region, we're going to make sure to work with them for an Indigenous-led, Inuit-led solution to this problem. Thank you.
Mining challenges?
The honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
More than 9,000 border workers have voted for a strike mandate. The Liberals keep asking more and more of these workers, like cracking down on stolen cars being smuggled out of Canada, but won't give them the resources they need. Our CBSA workers deserve better. They deserve a pension, better working conditions,
they don't have a pension?
And respect. Canadians
They're
depend on these
federal
workers to keep
without
us safe,
wow.
but the Liberals are turning their backs on them.
That's kind of
Will
shitty.
the Liberals admit that by failing to provide a fair retirement to these workers, they're setting the stage for unnecessary disruptions this summer?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, this is what you get when you prioritize French. This is what happens when you prioritize French language over the French English translators that can't translate. Because the Grassy Narrows people have not donated enough money. Oh! And a report just came out last week that said the mercury levels in the Grassy Narrows were higher than ever before. Jesus Christ. Permafrost exceeding cold in the winter.
Mr. Speaker, our government is definitely committed to reaching agreements with all of our different public service unions that are both fair to the employees and reasonable to
That's
taxpayers.
why one of them
We've
you
already
haven't
reached
given a
agreements
raise
with
to in
17
2
different
years,
bargaining
right?
units that cover over 80% of representative employees. The best deals are found at the table. We urge the union to come to the table. We are happy to negotiate with them.
Just like you want the Conservatives to bring Bill C-234 to the House so that it will pass, right? Yeah.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the Superintendent of Financial Institutions released his annual risk outlook yesterday. It's now a warning from their own regulator for this Liberal NDP government to heed. Canadian homeowners who renew their mortgages over the next 2 years could face a payment shock. A payment shock. The root cause of this spike in payments is this government's loose spending policies. Large deficits have driven inflation, which have increased mortgage costs. With all these warnings, will the Minister of Finance take a lesson and reverse her inflationary spending policies?
Hear, hear. Well, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing. Thank you,
The question was to the Minister of Finance, and the Secretary to the Minister of Housing is answering.
Mr. Speaker, recently, the Parliamentary Budget Officer just this week described Canada's fiscal position as top of class. And so did the International Monetary Fund when describing Canada's growth in 2025. We're also Conservatives rated
We're just
number
doing
one
a
in the
just
world
chatting
with a
stream.
AAA credit rating, which has
What's
been
up?
reaffirmed by independent credit agencies. And when it comes to combating inflation, the Governor of the Bank of Canada says we're on the right track. So let me ask the Conservatives
no, he
this.
didn't.
Does a Conservative leader intend to fight?
He literally did not say that. He said we can't lower the interest rates until the government stops spending so much money. That's not being on the right track.
Are all the independent experts in the world that disagree with his doomsday narrative?
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
This guy sounds like he just woke up from his coke nap. He does. All the water issues are from the old paper industry for the most part. It's almost like I chose a 4-year for a reason. Yep.
Mr. Speaker, that's avoiding every touch point he doesn't want to pay attention to, including from his own regulator. Let's look at the follow-on risks that OSFI identified. Stress in the mortgage insurance industry, investment portfolio risk, asset management risk, insurance risk, all rising. This house of cards does not end well. It's obvious to the regulator and to all Canadians that after 9 years of failed economic policies, this government is just not worth the cost.
Oh, but those are all right-wing talking points, and those statistics you're stating are misinformation. And who knows where you came up with those things, but they're just fake.
Can we see a redo on last month's disastrous budget that will bring back the fiscal balance Canadians desperately need?
Rework the budget. You're fucked.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
At any point in time, a democracy is bound to face risk, particularly in a difficult economic environment that we face domestically and internationally, Mr. Speaker. But what I would say to the member, to echo my colleague who just spoke on this side, a AAA credit rating, affirmed recently by Moody's, who said that we have the best fiscal record in the G7, the lowest debt and deficit in the G7. Those are foundational.
The lowest debt and deficit. Just because it's the lowest doesn't mean it's still not ridiculously high for the amount of people we have. We cannot support this debt. Jesus
points, Mr.
Christ.
Speaker, that will carry us through difficult times, and it is. It is a hard time for Canadians. He talks about those Canadians who want to renew their mortgage.
Say it's a hard
Where
time
were they
for
over
Canadians?
the years? We wanted to support them. They were never there.
The Honourable Member for Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboia, Headingley.
In 2020, the Prime Minister's own bank governor said interest rates are very low and they're going to be low for a long time. This week, OSFI reported that mortgage holders will face a payment shock because of high interest rates. They said the shock will be the worst for those who took low mortgage rates in 2020. Words matter. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister misleading Canadians, will he finally admit he's not worth the cost to homeowners?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, it was great to have the independent governor of the Bank of Canada attend the Finance Committee recently. And let me quote him in saying, when he was at committee, he said, and I quote, "The budget does..."
You just said, and I quote, you're humming and hawing again.
...that the government put in place, and that keeping the net debt to GDP ratio on a declining track, and importantly, keeping deficits below 1% of GDP in future years. The budget also commits to those guardrails going forward, and that is helpful. That's exactly the words of the independent Bank of Canada
it's helpful,
governor.
but that doesn't help
this is
now.
Why the Conservative leader wants to fire the independent.
The Honourable Member for Charleswood, St. James.
Thank you for cutting him off.
Also in 2020, the Prime Minister said interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn. Millions of people took out low-interest mortgages. Tuesday, his own bank regulators reported that homeowners renewing mortgages will now face a payment shock because of high mortgage rates they got
trying to
in
ask the question
2020,
again.
increasing the risk of default. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister misleading Canadians, will he finally admit he is not worth the cost to people who are
trying to
losing
ask
their
again.
homes?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is proud of having one of the most stable and flexible financial institutions and financial markets in the world. It is also true that Canada's fiscal position is a particularly strong one. What would put that all at risk, Mr. Speaker? The Banana Republic promise of the Leader of the Opposition to fire the Governor of the Bank of Canada, sending shockwaves to global markets and exposing homeowners, mortgage holders, to intense interest rate risk.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Shepherd.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are now going hungry and homeless, and the latest annual risk outlook from OSFI highlights that 76% of mortgages will come up for renewal by the end of 2026. Now, the Prime Minister's high mortgage rates are creating misery for Canadian homeowners. And again, the Liberal government's own bank regulators flashing red stop signs. The Bank of Canada governor has said that out-of-control federal spending is not helpful. How much more mortgage payment pain will Canadian families have to face and endure to satisfy this NDP Liberal government's big government spending?
All of it. all of the pain and suffering because we are peasants and we will
than
eat
to
cake.
stand up and talk about financial markets when his own leader is the person that has promised to send tremors into the international financial system.
Oh, tremors. Tremors into the international financial system. Tremors, you guys. Holy
over like
fuck.
some dictator the operations of the Bank of Canada.
I'm sorry, what?
Tremor.
House Leader.
Run that over us
should
again?
know better than to stand up and talk about financial markets when his own leader is the person that has promised to send tremors into the international financial system by taking over like some dictator the operations of the Bank of Canada. And
what the fuck are you even talking about, dude?
Who, of course, is watching inflation very carefully, and I know he will have noticed that inflation for the fourth
Do you
straight
even
month
know what
is
you're
down
saying
to
right now?
the Bank of Canada's target
I don't
range,
think
and
he
we
knows
want to
what he's
continue
saying
getting
right
that
now.
inflation number down.
The honourable member for Calgary Shepherd.
Well, that overheated and over-the-top rhetoric is cold comfort to homeowners who
Thank
are facing
you.
hundreds of dollars per month of increased
That's
mortgage
nothing but
costs
rhetoric
because of
on
their
that
decisions
point.
during the pandemic. They doubled the national debt. They increased spending by $600 billion over that time period. That led to higher mortgage interest costs. At the same time, when the Prime Minister was saying that interest rates would never go up, they are so low they could continue. And mortgage holders listened to him. They took out more mortgages, and now they're facing higher mortgage rates, so punishing they have a hard time paying for it. So my question to him is, when is the NDP Liberal Prime Minister going to learn his lesson, and is he going to give homeowners a break on these mortgage rates?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
I would take the member seriously, Mr. Speaker, were it not for the Conservative record. Those same mortgage holders in years past benefited from a tax cut to the middle class that this government introduced. They benefited from the Canada Child Benefit. Their benefit.
Okay, let me say something for you. Canada Child Tax Credit, CCT, or Canada Child Tax Benefit, CCTB, introduced by the Conservatives. So, shut up.
Benefiting now from the child care program this government has introduced. Dental care where they are eligible. Pharmacare, Mr. Speaker. All those measures that benefit middle-income Canadians and lower-income Canadians.
Did he just use the term Banana Republic against the Conservatives? Yes. They keep trying to use our means against us and they suck at it. They really do.
Are measures that they did not support at all, and they want to fire
because
the
they can't
Bank
mean.
of Canada.
Because the left can't mean.
Irresponsible. They never answer the question on that.
The honourable member for Manic for Repentigny. Climate change is threatening the St. Lawrence River. That's what federal government scientists revealed on Wednesday. Water temperatures have reached record levels, up to 5 degrees above average. Water is depleted of oxygen, and as a result, species such as shrimp are in serious decline.
Shrimp in the St. Lawrence River. Are there shrimp in the St. Lawrence River? Are there shrimp in the St. Lawrence River? That doesn't sound right to me, but I could be wrong. I do not know exactly all the species of fish available in the St. Lawrence River. I'm sorry, I got a tax cut where? Right? You apparently got a tax cut, honey. I'm not sure where you got it, but you got one.
Biodiversity and the economy of our regions are at risk. And yet, while federal scientists are sounding the alarm, the federal government is opening a new pipeline in the West to encourage dependence on dirty oil. Frankly, right in the middle of a climate crisis, when will the Liberals listen to science? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Not a pipeline. Would you rather
Thank you
a
very
train
much,
deliver
Mr.
the
Speaker.
oil?
When we came to the government in 2015, Canada was even protecting 1% of its territorial waters, and we have now lifted this to 15%, and we plan to protect 30% by 2030.
Protect it from what? What are you protecting the water from?
This is an objective that we agreed to at COP15 in
Yeah, it's
Montreal. We
brackish
are investing record amounts in partnership with Indigenous peoples across the country to
Well,
protect
maybe the French stopped pouring copious amounts of human shit into the St. Lawrence. Yeah, that would be good.
The St. Lawrence River
The
is the beating heart.
Montreal, dumping all that shit into the St. Lawrence. Quebec City, dumping all that shit into the St. Lawrence.
It's the Quebec Nation, which has developed along its
the
bank
Quebec
for 4
Nation,
centuries.
huh?
And today, we see that climate change is attacking these shores, threatening biodiversity, and
Quebec
jeopardizing the
Nation,
survival
eh?
of species that have been fished for generations. Meanwhile, the federal government is investing $34 billion in a dirty oil pipeline, the primary cause of global warming.
Oh, yes. Dirty oil pipelines are the primary cause of global warming. It's not the fact that the climate cycle has been cycling up because we just came out of an ice age 20,000 years ago. So it's kind of time for the planet to warm up a little bit more than it was. But no, it's the pipelines and it's the humans that are the sole and only cause of climate change.
Ottawa is literally making
and we need to spend more money to make it go away.
How much longer will we accept entrusting our money to this irresponsible country? The Honourable Government House Leader, Mr. Speaker, the Bloc can't be serious. You have before us the first government that has credible targets.
And what part of the $15,000 in tax did I get cut on when I bought the house? I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. Hey, Leo. Welcome to the coffee stream. This is what I do in the daytime.
Targets and a plan to reach net zero by 2050. You have a government.
Oh, it is a bit of both. Humans are definitely having an impact. But the fact that the fact that there are people that act as though humans are the only impact is absolutely ridiculous.
That is taking care.
All this planet needs to do is let one super volcano go. That's it. That's all it needs to do. Just one. We have I think we have at least 10 active super volcanoes right now. And then we have all the other Ring of Fire volcanoes like Mount Merape and all that are capable of causing big ass fucking eruption. Mount Pinatubo in 91 caused the entire Earth's temperature to drop by 2 degrees for 2 years. The pipeline then take off every piece of jewelry and clothing that uses petroleum, then you hack. Yep. But we have so many volcanoes on this planet that just need to go puh, and the human race is done. And or if not done, very drastically reduced. To the point where we probably would never come back to full flower again.
Of its oceans and is fighting against plastics with a series of measures that will ensure that Canada will reach its Paris targets and fight climate change.
Because the planet cares about the Paris
also
Accord.
including in the St. Lawrence River.
Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are hungry and homeless. The number of tent cities is growing across the country, and the number of people lining up at food banks has grown to over 2 million and continues to climb. The Salvation Army reports that 26% of Canadians are skipping or reducing meals. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost. When will he finally stop his inflationary spending?
I mean, it's probably not as bad as people are saying, but hey, we don't know. We all know how people always add the doom and gloom shit. Really quick, look up how many volcanic eruptions happened in 2023. Oh, that's a good idea. Number of volcanic... Oops. Number of volcanic eruptions in 2023. Let's see. Global Volcanism Program. What was erupting in the year? There were 77 confirmed eruptions at some point in 2023 from 73 different volcanoes. This is cool. The Smithsonian has an actual thing. This is awesome. I like this. Okay, let's see. What was erupting in the year? There were 77 confirmed eruptions at some point during 2023 from 73 volcanoes. 27 of those were new eruptions that started during the year. So this is as of April 19th, 2024. So it looks like Indonesia. Look at all the Indonesian countries. Iceland is going off. Oh? Kanaga volcano in the US. Indonesia again. Yeah, like, look at all these volcanoes. 3 in Indonesia. Costa Rica went off. Colombia went off. Japan went off. We've got 3 Indonesia volcanoes so far. We've got Tonga. I remember that one. Max VEI. Max Vulcan individual. Vulcan. Blah, blah, blah. The volcanic activity we've seen over the last 5 years has been more than we have seen in many, many years. Not even the US cares about the Paris Accords. Fighting the ocean's plastic, which has been proven to not come from anywhere in North America. Yep. That is actually a pretty big jump in volcanic activity. Yeah. That's what I said when I was watching them happen. Yeah, this is... So, these volcanoes, this is a huge jump in volcanic activity because the world is warming up on its own.
Spending, which is forcing Canadians
And I would also like people to understand that volcanoes can produce way more greenhouse gases than we will ever produce. And they will release not just carbon dioxide, but they'll release carbon monoxide, which is the bad gas, and sulfur dioxide, which is the stuff that combines with water molecules to create acid fucking rain.
To go hungry. Yeah.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing.
Mr. Speaker, in that constituency of the member where individuals...
And now you get add in the number of forest fires that have happened in the last 5 years, and you get the current situation of carbon caused by humans.
The leader of the opposition find themselves homeless. She can go back and show the leader of the opposition's housing plan that unfortunately says nothing about homelessness.
What? I've read the plan. It does mention homelessness. What are you talking about?
It is hollow, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing there on so many issues, but specifically on homelessness. He's never cared about these issues, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to supporting Canadians on a range of matters, from homelessness to childcare to pharmacare to dental care, they have been silent.
Provincial.
The member for Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Here are the facts. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are losing their homes and going hungry. The number of Canadians reported food security challenges has increased, and 26% are skipping meals. Costs continue to rise, and this government's plan to raise taxes will only make it worse.
Volcanoes are actually really poisonous, more poisonous than humans could ever make the environment, except if we started to kill each other with nuclear weapons. Yep. I saw a weird history episode on it. And acid rain wasn't even that big of a deal. Oh, really?
Canadians are losing hope. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost. When will he finally admit his inflationary policies are hurting Canadians?
Right. And they have to keep asking the same question.
Mr. Speaker, our government has a track record.
They have to keep asking the same question just so that the Liberals won't answer it.
Initiating programs that address the needs of the most vulnerable. Emergency food
No, they
programs
didn't.
are certainly part of that support system that people need who have immediate needs of, and are struggling to put food on the table. But let's
Dude,
just
do you
review.
even
Food Banks
understand
Canada
what you're
said that
saying and
national
the fact that you sound like you don't know what it means to have struggles to put food on the table?
food
Like,
program
he's
was a
talking like
vital
he doesn't
initiative.
even
If
know
the
what that's
Conservatives
like.
are aligning themselves with Food Banks Canada, then why
Acid
would
rain
they
is
oppose
overrated.
a vital initiative
Doesn't
of a
even
national
have you
school
tripping.
food program that's going to feed over 400,000 children?
That's funny.
The honourable member for Cumberland Colchester.
Speaker, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are hungry and homeless. The Salvation Army is reporting that 26% of Canadians have been forced to skip meals because they cannot afford to buy groceries. Our country is suffering under this government and its Prime Minister, who is not worth the cost. When will this Prime Minister axe the tax so that Canadians can afford to eat again?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Food Banks Canada and their member organizations right across this country, they do essential work and they do important research, and I want to thank them for that. And they actually make some recommendations in this report, which the Conservatives have clearly not read. They recommend more supports for the working poor, like our Canada Workers Benefit. They recommend
Yeah, I'm sure they actually mention the Canada's Workers Benefit. I'm sure they actually mention it by name.
and improved Social Security, which Conservatives gutted when they were in power. Well, we've increased, improved, and modernized the Canada Child Benefit and brought forward the Canada Disability Benefit.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm opting out of that thing because I do not want to be handed $200 a month like it's some fucking gift on a platter. Fuck that. It is because he doesn't know what it's like. Yup. None of these people have ever known what it is to earn their lives or what it is to go into survival mode. Nope.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives continue to put words in the mouths of poverty elimination experts and Food Banks Canada, we'll continue to put food on the table with the National School Food Program.
That's not putting food on the table. How is a national school food program putting food on the table? It's serving food off the back of a fucking truck. And that's been stored in questionable fashion.
Improve the National Canada Child Benefit and put money in the pockets with the Canada Card.
The honourable member for Cumberland Colchester.
Well, thanks, Speaker. It's interesting. Yesterday, the member from Milton at a meeting said he was shocked to hear the report of how many Canadians were actually hungry. So even though they're continuing to announce
He was shocked,
programs
was
to
he?
fix the problems they've created, we need a significant change in government. Once again, Speaker, according to the Salvation Army, parents are skipping meals so their children and other family members can eat. Canadians should not have to live like this. After 9 years, of course, this Liberal coalition government is not worth the cost. Again, I will ask, when will the Prime Minister axe the tax so that Canadians can afford to eat again?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, that member's from Atlantic.
Eating's overrated. Just eat once a day. And you'll be fine. That's what I do. Just substitute food for coffee. I did that in high school.
Atlantic Canada, and I've never heard anyone from Atlantic Canada suggest that we cut the Canada Child Benefit, that we cut and vote against.
Nobody's
the school
suggesting
nutrition program.
the Conservatives haven't said that they would cut the Canada Child Benefit. They said they would cut the fucking carbon tax. Why are you such a liar?
We cut an entire housing program designed to remedy the housing problems in Atlantic Canada. That member should stand up for once to that leader who has an austerity agenda and wants to cut the very supports that are keeping his constituents and helping his constituents meet the current cost of living issue.
Nobody's meeting the current cost of living issues.
Member for Victoria.
Mr. Speaker,
Why do you
people in
think I have
Victoria
an $80
want to know that our
stream?
coast and our endangered southern resident killer whales are protected. New reports show that cruise ships docking in Victoria are jeopardizing these orcas by dumping billions of liters of polluted wastewater into the ocean.
Is that why the whales sunk that ship last week? At least your conservatives seem to be more reasonable than our conservatives. Yeah, our conservatives are like they don't want to take away women's
The states
rights
have
or
stricter
anything
laws,
like that.
so under the Liberals' watch, cruise ships wait and dump in Canadian waters. They are even dumping in marine protected areas. The Liberals' regulations are woefully inadequate. And with the Conservatives, there'd be even less rules. Will the Liberals stop making the BC coast a dumping ground for polluted cruise waste?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the
Think
Minister
of the whales!
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the member from Victoria for her consistent advocacy for a cleaner environment and a greener future for all.
I was really thinking he was gonna go for her consistent advocacy for the whales. I really thought he was gonna say that.
All of Canada. Indeed, it's refreshing to stand up and talk about how we can protect this planet and how we can fight climate change rather than if we fight climate change. Mr. Speaker, her concerns
What
with respect to
cocaine
the
addict
coast
goes
and,
from feeding
and the
children to
dangers
whales? I don't know. Kind of makes me want to move to Canada, but then I'll be cold and I'll miss eating American food. Dude, we have fast food here. We have McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and fucking Subway and Mr. Sub and KFC and Taco Bell, and we just don't have like Del Taco or In-N-Out Burger or Five Guys or Papa John. Well, Papa John's came up here for a bit, but didn't do very well. Or Dunkin' Donuts or shit like that. We don't have that shit, but we have the other stuff. We have
Whale
Starbucks.
species and
Blah.
waterborne mammals are important to us in our government, and I'd love to sit down and talk about
Waterborne
local issues in
mammals,
Victoria
yes.
and ensure this government is supporting all of those vital endangered species. Thank
Yes.
you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Greensboro.
Mr. Speaker, CKUA is a source of music, arts, and community as one of Edmonton's most beloved public broadcasters.
Why does this should have been used for declarations and statements, not a question.
But they're facing a perfect storm with the inflation and cost of living crisis. They need our help during these tough times. While other Canadian broadcasters receive federal help in similar circumstances, CKUA is being left behind. CKUA supports local Canadian artists and brings Edmontonians together.
I bet you they play a lot of
Liberals
Nickelback.
stand up for Edmonton and our local media and help out CKUA in their time of need, or will they continue to ignore them?
I bet you CKUA plays a lot of Nickelback because they're from a town called Hanna, Alberta, and they live Edmonton's not far from there. How does dumping waste in the ocean affect the whales at Walmart?
Of Canadian heritage.
I thank the honourable member for his question and for his advocacy on this important issue. Our government has been there to support media from across this country, from coast to coast to coast, from small communities to large ones. Much of the support for small communities would have been flowing had Conservatives not chosen to obstruct the passage of legislation that would have had.
There's less of them than there are of you in the NDP. What the fuck are you talking about? The Conservatives blocked it.
Small community
Shut up.
this country. We're going to keep working hard for those broadcasters, and we're not going to stop until
Just
Canadians
shut
have
up,
their voice from coast to coast
you
to coast.
liar.
The Honourable Member for
someone.
Kitchener South, Hespeler.
Mr. Speaker, on Monday, our government unveiled a national action plan on combating auto theft. This plan will work in conjunction with Budget 2024 to keep communities safe from auto theft crime.
And I am reading from my pieces of paper because I cannot remember what I'm supposed to say. Mr. Speaker, my memory is shit.
Insurance crime experts have already called the plan a turning point for auto theft in Canada. Can the Minister of Justice please highlight one of the concrete steps in this national plan that will make communities safe?
We have Five Guys up here. It's in Galt. Really? And as a former American hostage, I miss Del Taco, I miss In-N-Out, I miss Carl's Jr., but I do not miss the crappy flavor. What waterborne mammals are in danger in Canada? The beaver is a nuisance rat that tastes delicious. I'm gonna have to learn how your government works. Kind of strange to see such a parliament system. Five Guys is a super ripoff. Fast food is a ripoff. Making it at home is faster and it's builds skills and it's cheaper. Yeah, Firehouse is another example of a company that came up here and raised their prices. But I'm gonna admit, Firehouse subs is fucking fire. Oh, Firehouse is great. I love Firehouse.
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada.
Mr. Speaker, the rise in auto theft in our country is not caused by one-off incidents of teenagers taking a joyride. It's perpetrated
Nobody
by
said it was!
organized criminals. That's why we're cracking down on organized crime. These
No, you're
criminals
not.
prey on teenagers to do their dirty work. So we're adding an amendment to the criminal code to add a new aggravating factor to make for tougher sentences for those who use young persons in the commission of an offense. We're also raising the maximum penalty for those who would use violence during a daylight carjacking. We're going to
What, a maximum penalty of a day in jail before allowing them to be bonded out?
stop auto theft. We're going to stop organized criminals who are taking advantage of our kids. Mr. Speaker, enough is enough.
The Honourable Member for Portage Lisgar.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, more Canadians are hungry and homeless than ever before. 1 in 4 Manitobans don't have enough money to buy groceries and feed their families. Home prices are out of control and rent has skyrocketed to the point that people can't afford to put a roof over their head. How can this Prime Minister keep a straight face and try to tell 40% of Manitobans now paying more than 30% of their income on housing that everything in this country is in fact fine? Or are Manitobans just experiencing it differently?
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize in advance for not
I haven't
being able
had a
to take-
beaver that didn't taste like cat piss smells. Ugh. Let's see. The Liberal Party really had their speedballs this morning. The
leads
fuck
with
are you talking
responsible
about?
solutions that try to lift people up who are vulnerable. The Conservatives vote against. They vote against dental care, child care.
Are you saying
pharmacare.
that with a straight
They
face?
vote
You
against the
are
National
saying that
School
with a
Food
straight face.
Program.
Holy
How
shit.
on earth can we expect anyone to take their newfangled interest in
Newfangled?
Canadians who are struggling seriously?
Well, first of all, it's not newfangled, and second of all, you guys are a bunch of deflecting, over-dramatizing liars, and all of us can see it. And the more we expose your bullshit, the more Canadians will see it.
The Honourable Member for Yellowhead.
After 9 years of
Where's
this
Yellowhead?
NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are hungry and homeless. Food insecurity in Alberta is now over 27%.
that's where.
And just yesterday, the Edson Food Bank shared their latest data with me. They're now dealing with almost triple the food bank usage compared to 2020.
God damn. And Yellowhead sounds like it's probably a small place.
This Prime Minister is just not worth the cost. Will he stop his reckless inflationary spending and cancel the quadrupling of the carbon tax so Canadians can afford to put food on their table?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to share today some of the feedback on our announcement of a national school food program in Budget 2024.
Yeah, I bet you didn't ask any parents. Or any parents that weren't liberals. Because anybody that's not on your side is going to go, no, I don't want a national school food program. I want to be able to pack my kids their lunch myself, thank you.
The Coalition for Healthy School Food released a statement applauding the federal government for the investment.
That sounds like a government-run
all
program.
Provinces and territories to sign on to this new policy to provide nutritious, culturally appropriate, sustainable, and affordable food to school children across this country. On this side of the House, we'll continue to make investments in children and family. On that side of the House, they need to explain to Canadians why they won't support feeding children.
Oh yes, we want what you need to explain to Canadians why you won't support feeding children. Well, Canadians already know why, and they agree why, because we would rather feed our own children than have you do it.
The honourable member for Saskatoon-Grasswood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, more Canadians are hungry and homeless. 1 in 4 Canadians are experiencing food insecurity. Food Banks Canada even gave this NDP Liberal government a failing grade. 40% of Saskatchewan residents have visited a food bank. 35% are worried about putting a meal on the table for their family. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost. So why does he tell Canadians we've never had it so good?
Wow.
The Honourable Minister.
Good
Mr.
question.
Speaker, this is rich coming from people who sat in a government that led through Canada's worst economic performance in the last 30 years after the 2008 financial crisis. They had no idea what to do, no idea how to get Canadians back on their feet. We have gone through a global pandemic, Mr. Speaker. We have put in place measures to not just save businesses, but people's livelihoods to get this country back on its feet.
What the fuck?
30%
What the fuck does culturally appropriate food consist of? That's a good question.
They want to cut the Canada Child Benefit. They're cuts. We're here to support
Nobody said
Canadians
anything
each and
about
every day.
cutting that benefit.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
After 9 years, this Prime
Oh!
Minister is not worth the cost.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
After 9
The honourable member's gonna cut
years,
you.
this Prime Minister is not
Wow.
worth the cost. According to the 2024 Poverty Report, 44% of Canadians are paying more than 30% of income on housing, which is a big F for this government. Mr. Speaker, this NDP Liberal government only gets an A+ when it comes to creating disastrous policies. The member from Whitby previously stated we are going to have to switch our lifestyles and it's going to be painful. Mr. Speaker, is this the kind of pain he was talking about? How
Yes.
much more pain will this Liberal NDP government intentionally inflict upon Canadians before they axe the carbon tax?
That's right.
But we have to endure a little bit of pain because don't you understand, Mr. Speaker? We have to pour money into the carbon tax to keep the environment from exploding. And if we don't keep pumping money into the environment, it will actually explode, and the entire atmosphere of the planet will blow away if Canada, all on its own, doesn't pump billions of dollars into the environment. That's what will happen.
The Honourable Minister of Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, I really find it quite rich coming from the party opposite. We've been trying to get the fall economic statement passed because that's going to give the members in the
Because
rural
that
parts of
means the white people can only eat mayo and unseasoned chicken.
his riding a family of four, an extra $1,344 a year. That's what we're doing for Canadians all across this country. So please, pass the fizz. We know people are having trouble with things. This is going to help
We
people.
know
along
people
with
are having
daycare,
trouble
along
with things.
dental.
How fucking dare you minimalize it like that? Oh yeah, we know people are having trouble with things.
Along
You
with, thank you,
newfie
Mr.
bitch.
Speaker. We are
Shut
doing a
up.
lot, and I know we acknowledge that. Thank you.
The honourable member for Drummond.
Oh good, he's the other dude is back.
Yesterday, while the committee was studying an overhaul of the Court Challenges program, it was dismaying to see a block amendment rejected. a simple amendment asking just one thing, that the Court Challenges program respect the Official Languages Act. That act recognizes that French is threatened, recognizes the existence of other laws, such as the Charter of the French Language, which is designed to protect our language, and recognizes the need to foster a francophone majority in Quebec. What's the Liberals' problem with respecting the Official Languages Act? The Honourable Minister of Justice? No? When it comes to the Court Challenges program, this is a program that was created by the Liberal Party of Canada and scrapped by the Conservatives and restored by the Liberals during our current term of office.
Repeal it! No, put it in place! No, repeal it! No, put it in place!
We will strengthen French and official bilingualism all across Canada. We're defending minority language communities.
Everything French other than
we're
food.
all in favor of protecting both official languages all across Canada, which are protected under the Constitution. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, it would be nice to get some serious answers to serious questions. It's disturbing to see the government refuse to require the Court Challenges program respect federal law. Once again, the Liberals are entangled in their own contradictions over French. They still have a hard time recognizing there's only one official language that's threatened in Quebec, and that's French. So much so, in fact, that they refuse to demand that the Court Challenges program take into account their own legislation, the Official Languages Act.
Nobody cares about French
right now.
Why
should the program ignore the different situations of English and French in Canada and in Quebec? The Honourable Minister. I have to point out to the member opposite that the Court Challenges program was set up to protect minority official languages communities from the very beginning. That was the root of the program. The very raison d'etre of this program was to protect Francophone communities outside Quebec and the English-speaking community within Quebec. So our dedication to protect and promote both official languages is shown in that. That's what we did.
Why
with
do
the
we need
Official
to
Languages
protect and
Act,
promote English?
And what is already there, the protection that's already there in the Canadian Constitution. The Honourable Member for Montmagny. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Prime Minister...
Wow, I didn't think French mattered that much. See, in Canada, because of Quebec, French is hugely important. It is an official language. We have two official languages in Canada, English and French. That's why all of our federal signs are in both languages. And in Quebec, French is always supposed to come first before English. In fact, and this is the problem with a lot of Quebecers, if you don't know how to speak French and you walk into a shop and they say bonjour or ça va, and you say hi, they get really pissed. They don't like that. They would prefer if you at least, like, if I walked into a store and they said bonjour, I would say bonjour, comment ça va? Je ne parle français bien, pas. Je ne parle pas français bien. And then I would say, what was it? Not puis-je, because that would be may I. It would be pouvons? Pouvoir? No, I can't remember what the verb for may I. But it would be, can we speak in English? Did the chemicals turn the frogs gay, or were the frogs already gay? Wow, I know what place to avoid. I know no French whatsoever. Yeah, Quebec can get pretty snooty.
More and more Quebecers are hungry and homeless. The Bloc voted for $500 billion in budgetary appropriations. They claim to represent Quebecers, but then they turn their back on them and vote for inflationary centralizing spending.
That's true. Like if I wanted a poutine in Quebec, I would walk up and I would go, bonjour, je veux un poutine, s'il vous plaît.
Quebecers are suffering, and the Bloc is voting for more and more money for the federal government and less for Quebecers. Can the Bloc Liberal stop supporting this Prime Minister's uncontrolled spending? The Minister of National Revenue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm always
There's a
surprised when my
national
colleagues
revenue
say
minister?
things like, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister's uncontrolled spending. The Honourable Minister of National Revenue. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Speaker.
then.
I'm always surprised when my Quebec colleagues say things like that. They know full well what we've been through in recent years. There was a global context affecting all of us, but luckily the Liberal government was there to help the people that needed
why our
help the
grocery
most.
prices are
It was
high.
it
That's
would have
why
been a
our mortgage
disaster
rates are
had
high.
the Conservatives
the global
been in office.
context.
We helped those who needed the most help.
The
There
closest
was
I
the
can come to
child-
French
the
is
Canada
Spanish.
Child
That's because
Benefit.
Spanish is better
Yeah.
than French. Oh well, I'm stopped in front of the St. Jacobs Farmers Market and fire trucks have just showed up for a burning tent. Wow. Interesting. Because I like Spanish better than French. I stopped taking French after grade 9 and I went right to Spanish. Spanish makes a lot more sense. Spanish follows its own rules.
Only those families that need support. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Prime Minister, more and more Quebecers are living with hunger, homelessness and poverty. While Canadians suffer because of inflationary Liberal policies, the Bloc continues to encourage them.
Yep.
Quebecers are crumbling under the weight of this broken economy. And what's the Bloc doing? Voting for $500 billion in budgetary appropriations. The Bloc and the Prime Minister are just not worth the cost. Can the Liberal Bloc show a little empathy for Quebecers and think of what they need for once? The Honourable Minister.
No empathy.
of
No
National
sympathy.
Revenue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No
That's
sympathy.
a bit contradictory what my colleague just said.
Oh, is it?
And what the Conservatives are saying. They propose.
Yes, it's contradictory because the Conservatives want to stop provincial meddling and overspending. Yes. I find German the better sounding language. I do enjoy German. It's funny, the grocery prices were still pretty low during the quote global context. It wasn't until 3 years after that the grocery prices started skyrocketing. Yeah! Imagine my shock, a government overspends.
Proposed to cut back on benefits. But what should
Benefits
we do? Just
that we
forget
don't
about
need,
the dental
like,
coverage?
the
that should
carbon
help
rebate,
not just
'cause we shouldn't
seniors,
be
but also
spending
young
money on it.
people or people with disabilities who need help the most? What should we do?
Fuck you! People with disabilities do need help the most, so fuck you and your $200 a month. You should make that $2,000 a month and make sure that the provinces don't claw that back dollar for dollar and still send the disabled people their provincial benefits for their medications and shit. We should be getting about $3,000 a month from provincial and federal benefits to be able to live on par with people that work. Because as disabled people, we can't work. And we have been told by the government that we can't work, so here, live off of this money. Well, how about you make us get some money that's able to be lived off of? And how about you make it so that if we do have a common law relationship, we don't have to lose money based on what our partners bring in because we've chosen to be honest with you. I don't see any other able-bodied married people or common law people getting half of their check deducted because they were honest and said they were in a relationship. Could you imagine if your job, if you went to say your job was like, hey, we have this new insurance package and you have to sign up for it. Okay, fine, I'll sign up for it. Oh, you also have to claim your spouse on your insurance. Okay, fine, I'll claim my spouse on my insurance. Oh, now that you've done that, we're only going to give you half of your paycheck. Why? Because you're married and your spouse makes money. So, that's their money. That doesn't matter. You have now signed up for this insurance package and you now have put your partner on the insurance package, so now you only get half your paycheck. But you told me to do that. That doesn't matter. That's the law. What? What? Only $200? Yeah, that's the proposed federal disability benefit. $200 is essentially a token amount meant to make people happy. Yep. When the cost outweighs the benefit, it is no longer a benefit. Nope. It's bullshit. And then once you get off disability, and then there's the other thing that the Ontario disability benefit does. It finagles shit around so that you end up owing the government money. So, and then if you ever get off of ODSP, then they're like, okay, we want all that money back that you owe us. Huh?
Where should we cut? Should we cut the school food program?
Yes.
Should we cut the infrastructure program? I'd like to know what they would cut to reduce spending. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years
I've heard of
this
the ABLE
block-backed
accounts.
Liberal Prime
The
Minister
ABLE One
with
account.
$500 billion in inflationary centralized spending, one farm in 5 can't make their debt payments. Our farmers are crying out to the government. The Liberals are adding insult to injury by cutting funding to 4-H clubs all across Canada. These 17,000 young people and 7,000 volunteer leaders are training the next generation of farmers. When will this Liberal government stop hurting the agricultural sector and instead help feed our already starving population?
We have like a kind of 4-H fair around here, and like that would really suck if the fair got cut.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues have a short memory.
Oh, shut up.
About what the Conservatives did when they were in office. They
9 years ago.
on agricultural programs, on research and innovation for agriculture.
9 years ago. Why are you bringing up what the Conservatives did? You've been You've been in power for 9 years.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'm getting angry.
To help small
I can't
farmers deal with crop risk. So we've been there. We've helped farmers be more resilient and more resistant to climate change, more innovative. We've helped to develop new markets as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Laval-les-Îles. Mr. Speaker, women are the driving force behind the economy. We need to equip women
Women are the driving force behind the economy. Yeah, without women, we would have no economy whatsoever. Okay, sure. Yes. Yes. Justin Castro and Joe Biden are the worst. I'd cut foreign aid. Yep. And this is another point the Liberals don't understand, and most don't. Farmers go into debt every year to farm. And pray that by the end of the year, the crops will be enough to balance. The crops will be enough to cover the bills.
Even better, so they can pursue their dreams, succeed, and flourish. It's not just the sensible thing to do, it makes sense economically too. Can the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development, and Official Languages tell the House what the government's doing to improve the situation of Canadian female Canadian workers? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague from Laval-les-Îles.
What are you doing to help women?
Our government believes in setting women up for success. That's why we created
Except when they question Justin Trudeau's integrity and policy. Then we shuffle them around out of positions of power.
Childcare. That's why contraceptives will be free under our pharmacare plan. That's why we'll always stand up for a woman's right to choose. Mr. Speaker, we support families at every opportunity. And what do the Conservatives do? They vote against every step of the way.
Because none of those things are in your jurisdiction.
After 9 years, something is rotten in the state of Canada. More specifically in Ottawa. And we all can smell it. That's why there's a public inquiry on the foreign interference in the first place. But this government is once again trying to cover it up, redacting documents they have already promised to send to the Commission. Today, I speak for all Canadians when I say we all know this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. So exactly what is the NDP Liberal coalition government hiding?
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, as the minister pointed out yesterday, the member opposite might wish to speak to his House leader because in drafting the terms of reference for the inquiry, all parties in this House agreed to those terms, which included redactions for things like cabinet confidence and
Except that's not what you redacted, and you know it, so shut the fuck up.
Solicitor privilege. So it's pretty insincere, Mr. Speaker, for Conservatives to agree to the process
Putting men in
and
women's
now
sports?
criticize that very process. We've been clear with Canadians, and
They are hiding the giant secret slush fund that our contact found.
we will
Yep.
continue to work to
That's
deal with
probably
foreign
why she
interference,
works in
unlike
tourism,
Conservatives
yeah.
who felt it didn't politically advantage them.
The honourable member for Saskatoon University.
Well, the cover-up coalition continues, Mr. Speaker. Trust is one of the most precious things. And after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, Canadians have learned exactly how much they can trust Liberal promises. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost. The Minister promised the Commission would have complete access to the evidence. And yet, they haven't given the government what the government promised. In fact, the government did the exact opposite and is trying to cover up everything. When will the Liberals finally quit with the cover-up and tell the Canadians the truth?
Never.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I'm curious what point percentage system the member opposite operates off of for repeating Conservative slogans in one question.
What the fuck was that? What point percentage system does the what? Hello, spittle buggies.
Perhaps if the member opposite actually looked into the process on the inquiry
Oh my
instead
God.
of rehearsing and practicing
Oh
slogans,
my God.
he would know that his own House
Are we
leader
personally
signed off on
attacking the
process,
way he
which
speaks
included
now?
some redactions for client solicitor privilege and cabinet confidence. Mr. Speaker, they should spend more time on understanding interference and less time acting.
Wow.
Member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston.
Mr. Speaker, pulmonary arterial hypertension, also known as PAH, is a disease that blocks arteries in the lungs, causing high blood pressure in the lungs and damaging heart tissue. Patients diagnosed with PAH have on average 3 years to live.
Another thing that should be statements and declarations time, not what's it called? Questions.
In the United States, a drug called sotatercept was recently approved by the FDA. This drug increases quality of life and increased lifespan for PAH patients, and even in some cases reverses the damage caused by the disease. Mr. Speaker, when will this life-saving drug be approved for use in Canada?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the...
That's a good question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker, and I want to thank the member opposite for a very thoughtful question. Of course, our number
For a very thoughtful question, of course, this would be a very good drug to have, but we're not going
Canadians
to
make sure
introduce
that they
it.
have all the necessary medications available to them. That's why we're actually bringing a pharmacare legislation by Bill C-64, and I really
Oh,
hope the
come
member
on.
will support that bill because it's going to allow for Canadians to have access to initially diabetes and contraceptives. As in relation to the particular medication the member speaking of, I look forward to looking into it, working with him so that I can give him more
I look
precise
forward
answer
to
on the
looking
approval
into.
process
You don't
for that
even
particular
know
medication.
what this med is.
Member for Melpeck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Parliamentary Secretary to Agriculture and Agri-Food. Mr. Speaker.
Is this like a Parliament YouTube channel for Canada? This is called CPAC. So this is Canadians. They actually have a website called cpac.ca. which is where I will be watching any debates or like any confidence votes, but they post up question period on their YouTube channel.
Speaker, the Conservative Party continues to delay Bill 234. I'm wondering if the Parliamentary Secretary to Agri-Food and Agriculture can give us an update. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Conservative Party continues to delay Bill C-234? I'm sorry. How many of you versus how many of them? Really? They're the ones.
To the Minister of Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, a month ago I rose in this place and I talked about the Conservative
Isn't it so annoying when somebody comes out and says we were just thinking about that?
They've been championing. Again this week we found out they delayed it 2 weeks forward again to play politics on the farmers' back. On this side of the House, we act. On this side of the House, we support farmers and we're proud of farmers. What we don't do is play politics on their backs.
Bullshit.
The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
Mushkegowuk Cree region is ground zero for underfunded and systemically racist federal health policy. Yet through it all, the Winnebago Health Authority has worked hard to establish quality health care and proper facilities. And yet at the 11th hour, the Minister of Indigenous Services walked away on her commitment to build a proper hospital. On Monday, national, regional, provincial leaders on health and Indigenous rights will be coming to Ottawa to hold this government to account. They want to know, why did the Minister break her word to the people of James Bay?
Because screw Indigenous people. Nobody likes you, especially the Liberals. It's called the Canadian Public Access Channel. It has always been, or provided Parliament, and then we have 14 for the Ontario Parliamentary Legislature. I can't even mock Canada anymore. The states are going full commie as well. Well, we're not. Neither of us are going full commie because we can talk about it still and whine about it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And for years, we've been working with WAHA and the communities it serves to shape the future of healthcare delivery. Conversations are ongoing with all partners as every level of government has a role to play to ensure healthcare for remote communities.
Every level of government has a role to play. Sounds like you guys aren't playing your role.
Everyone deserves quality healthcare regardless of who or where they are. We will keep working with Ontario and with WAHA to find a path forward. Thank you.
And the honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a very painful, difficult point, and one of which the government is aware. A Canadian citizen, a much-loved member of Fredericton's community, Frederick Mwanangabo, has been in hands of brutal kidnappers in Goma, in Congo, since mid-December 2023, 5 long months. Freddie is a much-loved member of the Fredericton community, a human rights advocate, a human rights activist, and his family wants him home. Can the government give us any update as to what is being done to get him out of the hands of murderers and thieves and criminals and get him home?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Just there for
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Honourable Member for her continued advocacy on this case. We're aware of reports that a Canadian citizen was kidnapped in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We're in contact with the family, and I have met with the family. Kidnappings are an extremely sensitive matter given the risk to a kidnapped victim's life. Due to safety and privacy reasons, no further information can be disclosed on this specific case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And that's all the time we have for question period today.
Wow, what a shit show that was. Oh my, and that was Friday's question period. We still have to see what today's question period will bring us tomorrow. So that's going to be that. I do thank you guys for hanging out with me and watching and everything. I am going to be doing my Twitch affiliate celebration stream tonight. So that's going to be just on Twitch. So I will not be streaming on YouTube. I will not be multi-streaming tonight. I will be streaming just to Twitch and we'll be doing the Combat Hour and celebrating the 2 years of affiliate. So if you want to come by Twitch and hang out with me and chat, that would be awesome. we're gonna finish up Demigod and maybe play some viewer sets and have a good time. I hope to go for at least 2 hours tonight just to get a good celebration in. So thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you guys tonight on Twitch only, and then I'll be back tomorrow for the coffee stream. So have a wonderful rest of your Monday. See you tonight. Bye, guys.